like I got
Walton.
your line.
Yay, fireworks.
But to be clear,
done.
she's net up from where Biden. The red, blue, and black chart that they have.
Rasmussen.
Rasmussen.
And they do.
Rasputin?
They take a poll every single day, and they'll show you how the bounce went for Kamala and how it's settling. Sure, she is having a net gain, but it's not like what they're talking about. And this is why they can't have her do a debate.
Well,
She's going to do a debate. They've already said the dates,
they want this bounce, and they want the convention. They want all that momentum. And then she's going to have to walk in and do a debate. What, September 4th?
September 10th.
September 10th. That's right. She refused to do the 4th.
Yeah, and Tom, Rob, I want to go to you, because going off your point, because Adam, we went from a corpse, a literal corpse, to a woman of color, and that base, everybody, it lit a fire. But Tom, you just nailed it. That fire now is starting to settle and just become a kindle, because now it's like, okay, we want to hear the excitement of you and Waltz and yay, fireworks.
But to be clear, she's net up from where Biden was.
Tom, I'm telling you right now, you could have taken a rock and spray painted it pink and been like, yay, anything would have been better than Biden. So that spike now is starting to settle, and I'm telling you guys, once the debate happens, that's gonna happen. And then it's gonna see when this is what I'd say about the Democrats. They're like a wild animal that's backed into a corner. Once they realize and they see, like, dude, it took how many years for them to finally have Biden raw out there, no drugs to debate Trump, and what happened? Everybody went, wait a minute, Clooney, everybody, money, they're like, abandon ship. The moment she opens her mouth live in front of Trump, it's over, and then we'll see what their tactic is.
I mean, it was designed by strategy for Biden to fail during that debate. It came out 3 weeks ago that White House insiders knew that Biden would not step down, and that was a move from the White House to try and put him out there to show America that he was not ready and not fit to be president because he couldn't stand in a debate. So they knew this, they covered it up, they put him out there, which, what if they do the same thing? It's funny that Kamala goes, hey, if you have something to say it to my face. Trump says, okay, let's do it 3 dates. And she goes, no, I only want to do one of those. By the way, Humberto, could you pull back up Kamala's approval and disapproval ratings? I think it's very interesting. If you look at that chart and you see when she was elected as vice president in 2021, takes office, if you take a look at how that flip-flops, that should be all that you need to know as an American voter. Look at where her approval rating was and now where it is, and look at her disapproval and where it is now. They flip-flopped. She's actually at the same point when she, look at that. Right now, go back to 2021 where she takes office.
The favorable versus unfavorable one that tells it even better.
Look at approval.
It's the same thing.
All the way over. Go all the way over to the where it starts, right?
Right there.
Now look, she's at 48.1%.
Okay.
Now scroll all the way to the right where we're at today.
48.1?
48.1.
Humberto.
48.9% disapproval. So if you're a voter, look at that. People wanted her in the beginning, and now people don't want her whatsoever. And that chart shows you that.
That's a great point. She's unlikable, guys. She's unlikable. But my point is, what are they going to do? Tom.
Well, I'll show you what's coming. What are they going to do? That's a great question. Let's go to that, Vinny. Humberto and Rob, do you have that? I just sent it to you guys.
You said it's
Humberto, sent it to you. You got it? Rasmussen.
He's going
It's
to
in
get
text. I'll send it to you in Slack as well.
Tom, debate aside, okay? Right now, you genuinely think that she's ahead of Trump? Honestly.
Do I think that she...
Like, if the election happened right now, today, would Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump?
Right now, it's going to be very tight in Arizona and Georgia because women have moved and those states have tightened up.
You look like a rabid dog.
I happen to think net.
You're all wet and nasty.
I look at the crosstabs. I think Trump is still ahead in Georgia.
Okay.
I don't think it's a pure toss-up. I think he's 2.5, 3 points ahead. Is it tighter than it was on Biden? Yeah. I think he can win this thing, but he's fighting the news media. You've got people on other national podcasts saying, hey, you know what? He has to beat her, and he has to beat the national news media that refuses to inspect her and that is nothing but cheering for her.
Yeah.
Do we have that one? Can we pop that up?
Yep. He's right there.
There it is. Okay, take a look at this. Now, look at the tweet. Can you show us the tweet that put this up?
Tweet is here on the side.
Tweet on the right, Tom.
Don't let the embargo of other polling fool anyone. Democrats are in real trouble. Okay, scroll up on that so we can see the rest of the tweet that was there and see the one that's right. We're polling Trump Harris daily. Here are the updated things. Now take a look. Now let's look at the little blue chart. What this shows you is that Harris had a massive bounce when she joined. But take a look at the numbers on the left. The numbers on the left, there was a moment where the enthusiasm was up. See where it was? But now, look what has settled back down. If you go, and by the way, there's one of these charts. It's from yesterday, the 12th. Can you find this chart in the Rasmussen thread from yesterday? It's even, it's even better. They run that chart every day, so anybody who wants to look at it can look at it. People say, oh, wow, they're this way or that way. No, go take a look at it. They're either going to be embarrassed. Now take a look at the 12th. Look at the last days. 5, 10, 4, 4, 4, 4. Trump is showing that he's 4 points ahead on national tracking polls. This is the definition of an enthusiasm bounce and a settling. See where this is? And now look at where those lines are at the very, very end. They're 3, 4 points apart on a national basis.
Can we?
I think that's the truth.
Let's play a weird game here, guys.
Okay,
Let's play a weird game.
Okay.
We're all Democrat strategists, right? Just go with me here.
Okay.
Guys, we did it.
We did it.
We got Biden out. We know that he was a walking dead man. We got Kamala in. Can we all agree that's what we wanted to do as strategists?
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
He's done. He's toast.
We got Kamala in.
We need her.
Listen.
She
No,
checks all the boxes.
I made a bet with you haven't paid up on yet.
Me? I won
But
that bet too.
I thought it was going to happen, but did I necessarily want it to
I
happen?
didn't Tom, you're a Democratic strategist for this game.
Yeah, just let's play this game.
Oh, okay.
Okay, forget being a white evangelical Christian Republican
All right,
for
go
a
for it.
second.
All right. So we're in the.
We did it, guys.
Well, if I need to be a Democratic strategist,
did
what you
it.
need to do is kill me and then ask me a week from now because
Perfect.
All right, go. I want to hear
Perfect.
this.
We did it, guys. All right, what's part 2? We're gonna just anoint Kamala.
Okay.
We can't put Gavin in. Can't put Gretchen Whitmer in. Like, can't Pete Buttigieg. We can't usurp this black woman of color. I mean, right?
Yeah.
We gotta
not
get
just
Kamala.
black, but a
Stay
woman
with
of
her.
color.
We gotta go with
Oh, for
Kamala.
sure.
All right, hey guys, one last thing. Everyone hates Kamala, right?
Even us in this room.
Right, like,
none of us can
we
stand
agree.
her.
We
She has
agree.
the highest turnover rate as a vice president
Right.
in history.
What is
among
that? What do you mean
staff.
by turnover?
The people could not
Yeah.
stand
Oh,
working
that's
with her
right.
in the White House. They
Everybody's
kept quitting.
So
Yeah.
we're all on the same page here.
Yeah,
Biden's out, Kamala's in. No one likes Kamala.
Yeah.
What's the next step? You know what Kamala should do? Nothing. Don't let her talk. Don't let her defend her horrible record. The border's a mess. Everyone feels inflation. She's the border czar. She's cackling Kamala.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, guys.
Yeah.
Can we all agree here as Democratic
yeah.
strategists? Tell her to shut the up.
Yeah.
yeah.
So you know what she's going to say
Wave,
tomorrow?
smile,
Yes.
wave,
I got it.
read.
I got an idea.
You know what
guys.
she's going to do
That's
tomorrow?
the strategy.
You know what she's
Smile,
gonna do?
Wave,
Smile and
read.
wave,
Nothing.
boys.
Don't do
Smile and
anything
wave.
until, let me land the plane here.
Yeah.
Next week is what?
Is
Why
that
do the
called-
shaders take
DNC.
so long?
Yeah.
They're going to bring out Barack Obama.
Yeah.
They're going to bring out Michelle.
Yeah.
They're going to somehow wheel
Hillary.
out Jimmy Carter.
Hillary.
Hillary. Bing, 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 bing. They're going to tee her up, and they're just going to be like, Kamala,
Yeah.
just don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
Get out there. Stick to the speech we're going to create for you, handwritten, and just
Stick to the
don't.
Stick to the script.
You're not inspiring. You're not insightful. You're not amazing. You're just the DEI coronated lady. Get it done to beat Trump. Stick to the game plan. You'll speak once on stage then, and one debate, and best of luck.
Yeah.
And that's the plan.
And let the puppeteers
And you know what?
run the company.
And you know what? They're like, that's enough to beat Trump.
Yeah.
And that's their strategy.
By the way, and I've been.
Am I wrong?
I don't know. And I've been telling people, guys, do not. We had this talk. Do not underestimate these people. The Democrats are going to stop at nothing to beat this guy. By the way, we've been saying this with Pat on the PBD podcast. They're going to stop at nothing. If you think Russian collusion was bad, if you think COVID coming from a lab that we own, guys, once they realize,
China.
once that dip starts to hit, and you nailed it, Adam. I completely forgot about that. The DNC is going to be that new revival. But if they realize there, it ain't happening, then you're going to see the adjustment. But hey, just real fast before we keep going, because I know, Rob, you want to say something. Guys, for everybody that's here, that hasn't, first time here, first time Unusuals, if you guys haven't subscribed, boom, subscribe, please. Like, subscribe, Unusual Suspects. We're so happy that you guys are here. We talk about
shit.
everything. And yeah, we're happy to have you guys here. I love you guys. Anyway, moving on. So Rob, you have another clip.
Yes, speaking of the Biden coup, Donald Trump brings this up yesterday during the Spaces event with Elon Musk. Clip number 7, Humberto, is where Donald Trump talks about the Democrats pushing Biden out in favor of Kamala.
Okay.
There's a coup.
Very low.
Oh, I like that
He had
too.
a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that war would have been. That war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything the opposite. Everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how
He's
sad.
right.
Hey, look, just in the 2 armies, you lost 500,000 people. And, and you know, Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story. But if you think about it, Russia's gone, you know, Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. You know, they've been around a long time. They're a big fighting force. And it's very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight. And we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that, and a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you, it can lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a World War III right now for no reason whatsoever.
That was a different clip. That was him talking about Biden's IQ. Nonetheless, very funny.
Still very
it's
funny.
great to hear him. Stupid threats from a stupid face.
face.
But
Well,
Humberto, clip 11 is the
Before we
coup
move
one.
on from that, the stupid thing, ha ha ha. Can we just discuss Ukraine for a second?
Yeah.
How much money have we spent to Ukraine?
200, according to Trump, over 200 billion.
I'm texting you stuff because it's not pulling up. He said something very important right there.
What?
The amount of, like, we tend to highlight, he called Biden stupid. Let's address the heart of the matter, what he said about Ukraine. You're starting to see the stories that are coming out. And everyone, the first day, we all kind of were on
Not me.
Team Ribbon, whatever
Not
it
me.
was.
Definitely
Okay,
not me.
sure. But slowly it's been chipping away. And now you start to see these stories come out. Umberto, this was the lead story in the Wall Street Journal. Did you get the text? Ukraine needs more men, but the ones who want to fight already signed up. Young men are going into hiding and are trying to find ways out of the country. I have something to say on this.
Fly to Mexico City and take a walk north.
Very true.
The result, here's another part of the article, and I'll tell you my story. The results are now reshaping life in much of Ukraine. Young men are notably few in the subway in Kiev and outside of the resorts. Some villages in western Ukraine have been effectively emptied of men. Businesses complain that it has grown more difficult to find workers in recent months, especially in traditionally male-dominated fields such as construction. Here's what's happening. Young men are being sent to die, to fight Putin's war, and what's the president of Ukraine's name?
Zelensky's
Zelensky.
response, which has increasingly become Zelensky's
Young
war.
men are being evaporated. Now it's a numbers game. It's a battle of attrition. How many people are in Ukraine versus how many people in Russia? Triple, quadruple? I don't know. How many? Russia has what? 100 million, 200 million people? What's the number they have? Less than the United States, more?
144 million.
Okay, Ukraine has 30 million people. I'm taking
38 million.
Okay, so I took wild guesses, but I was pretty accurate. The numbers, so if they lose 100,000 and you lose 100,000, you really lost 300,000 because they have triple the amount than you. Now here's what's interesting. The men are being sent to die in war. Who gives a shit? You have no idea. And this is like a whole nother conversation. How many beautiful Ukrainian girls I see in Miami, in New York, in Europe, traveling. They're on dating apps. I went to this Hard Rock fight the other day. buddy of mine, wealthy guy, dating Ukrainian. She's like, yeah, I escaped the war. I found him. The women are great, living a life of luxury. The men are dying.
Yep.
And the story goes on in the Wall Street Journal about men are literally living in hiding because they don't want to go fight this war.
They're getting drafted.
And this is what we're funding.
Yep.
And the men in Ukraine, the ones that are fighting, that have signed up, because if you read the reports, on day one, every guy signed up. They went to defend their country. It's like, hey guys, we're being attacked in America. We're all signing up.
Of course.
Tom, me, Vinny, Rob. But what's happened is 2 years later, the men who are like, yeah, I was just a graphic designer. I'm hiding, literally hiding in basements.
And guess what? I just saw.
They're never gonna win this war.
They're not. Well, and hold on. We all knew that. We all know that. Like that's why when you said Adam, wearing the pins and. I know you didn't either. I was never that guy because I see through all their BS. And mind you, I've seen videos on X, on YouTube, of Ukraine using guys with Down syndrome. They grabbing guys with Down syndrome just to have them go and walk in the front and potentially hit a landmine. They don't care, and Zelensky doesn't care. That rat just sitting there, give me money, give me, I'll pay back, I'll pay back. To hell with him.
And
all right?
can I say one more thing? Let's talk about the guys that are in hiding, but then when they catch them,
oh, they're done.
they go to jail.
Of course.
So you either go to war and die or go to jail.
I'm going to jail.
It's
Straight to jail. That's the reality of being a man who's living in Ukraine at this point.
Tom, in the early 90s, when the Gulf War broke out, CNN was the first time. It was the first time that you could live stream and watch a war unfold.
Yeah.
Desert Storm.
But now, the difference between then and now is you would see the bombings going on, but you wouldn't see the fatalities.
Yeah.
When you scroll on X today and you look, there's videos of kids getting blown up by grenades being dropped
other
by
players come
drones,
from?
and people are retweeting. It's like there's this weird faction of humanity that has lost caring and giving a shit about the 500,000 people. Sorry for that. The 500,000 people that have died. It just becomes something that people just scroll past, and that's insane to me.
You bring up such a great point, and I'm going to flip mine. I haven't seen barely any footage of what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. I see tons of stuff of what's going on in Gaza. Tons.
I see bombings.
Do you see a lot of footage?
You don't
Okay,
see
maybe you. Where do you see it on Twitter?
On X.
Have you seen it on any mainstream platform?
No, I mean, I don't think they would because of the graphic nature. But on X,
But they'll do it for Gaza. They'll do it for other wars. This isn't like a Gaza thing.
Gaza
I have not seen any stuff that's going on.
I mean, I don't know how active you are on X, but dog, I'm saying, but Adam, because X is the place to see everything. There's drone footage. Like there's one drone recording the other drone, and it's a guy, a Ukrainian guy, pleading.
I've seen that one video.
And then it pulls. Oh, Adam, I've seen 10 of them.
Yes, that's the problem. I've seen yes, exactly. You see, and when the issue of aid to Ukraine came up last night, Trump didn't say, day one, I'm gonna stop funding the war in Ukraine. That's not what he said. What he said was, why isn't Europe actually helping and paying more to fund the defense of Ukraine? They're Ukraine's neighbors. They're right next to one another.
Yeah.
Do you know how much Europe as a whole has paid to defend Ukraine?
How much?
$56 billion.
Oh, really?
So they paid a quarter of what the United States has paid to defend Ukraine, and yet that's their neighbor. And Trump goes, there's a large sea between us. Well, yes, there is. There's a large sea that separates us. But why isn't Europe picking up their fair share of the bill to help defend?
Because they know we'll do it.
Yeah.
And this is the same argument that Trump made about NATO when he was in office, where he told Germany, you got to pay your fair share. I'm happy to give you the missiles. I'm happy to give you the arms so that you feel like your eastern border will always have a level of protection facing Russia. But you got to pay your fair share. Yeah. And what happens is there's a big circle, comes back to military-industrial complex, where the defense contractors in the United States says, I don't care where the money comes from, we got to get missiles over there to protect Europe because it's in our, altogether now, national security interest.
Say one, because I want to move on to get back to the Trump, because I know you had another video.
There is. Well, specifically, for some levity when it comes to this situation, Trump did address warning Putin about invading Ukraine while he was in office. Humberto, clip number 20. This is Putin this is Trump issuing a warning to Putin not to invade Ukraine while president.
And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way. And you know, it's the last time we had the conversation.
What is this, Wayne's World?
That's what I actually thought when I saw that. When I heard that part, that's what I thought.
Way,
Way, man.
But in a crazy way, like the respect that you have from someone that's like, you're not gonna, hey, way, no way. But hold on, let's be honest. Adam, did it work? Nothing happened when this dude was in, because not only did they like him, they feared him. There was that balance, bro. Because right now, like, God forbid, you know, think about time with you. If God forbid China attacked us right now, who's making the calls? Who? Let's be real. I'm not making fun of this. Like, Biden has no clue what's going on. It's the people. It's going to be the Blinken. It's going to be the all
Right,
the people
it's
around him.
You could joke about it. It's after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Biden's asleep.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's Blinken and the cabal, that are the puppet
Obama
masters.
and Hillary. Because look, Adam,
What's a cabal?
a cabal is a group of people that work together in the shadows that nobody knows. That's it's
We all know the Secretary of State. We all know.
No,
Obama,
but it's
like,
the they. But Adam, but who are they reporting to? Because at the end of the day, I know everybody always says there's a
Collaborating
group.
with.
There's somebody running the show, and you know who's in that team? Barack Obama's in that team. Hillary Clinton's in that team. Bill Clinton's in that team. And guess what? The real people, we don't really know.
But
They're probably walking around the White House with lanyards.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm gonna challenge. Do you want Biden making the decisions?
No,
Okay,
but hold on. But
so
where's
which
our
one is
president?
it?
Well, going back to my point, I want that leader.
Yes, I do. I want the elected president in an operating government the way it's designed with the
But
checks
do
and
you feel like
balances.
he's
I want him in.
incapacitated?
Donald. Okay.
No, we can talk about incapacitation all day long.
So which,
but I
do you
want
want
the
a
working.
retarded elected president or a smart
No,
unelected?
come on.
So which one?
No, but my point is the
Adam,
leader.
I don't know if I want Biden
Adam,
making
you're being too
decisions
clever
for me.
with that.
but
You're
he's the
being too
president.
clever with that. It's not what I'm
Do you
saying.
want- no, I'm asking a question. Do you want Biden making decisions at this point?
No,
If
but
he's incapacitated, then the 25th Amendment goes out and the vice president is there.
Yeah.
And the reason this election is so important is exactly what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
You're trying to push back kind of a a lunatic point back at me
No,
about
there's nothing
you would want Biden and everything. Easy does it. About I would want Biden. I don't want Biden, but I don't want a permanent change to the working government of the United States as it was designed, the best form of government that's ever been put forth on the planet, or they can say the worst form except for all the others. That's what I want. I want that working government in place, and I want to elect a leader who's capable of sitting in the chair and defending us. Let me tell you, this is a small sample size, but we went for Bailey the Golf Girls, graduated this year, went to the Austrian Grand Prix over there in Graz, about an hour south of Vienna. Was wonderful. And they saw, I had PVD podcast shirt on, and people saw, and you know what they said? These people in Austria, now remember, this is Austrian Grand Prix, so this is like going to a nice event. This probably is not man on the street. But these Austrians said, I have a business here, I do this. Quote, when there's a strong U.S. president, all of Europe feels safe. I didn't write that for him. He said it right to my face casually. Meeting my family, I was meeting his family. I'll say it again. When there's a strong U.S. president, all of Europe feels safe. Small sample size, one person. And that U.S. president needs to be willing to go up against kind of, international lunatics. It's like, wow,
what's up,
I do. Clip 19 is where he talks about, this is Donald Trump talking about dealing with Kim Jong-un. Clip 19, Humberto, instead of 18 first. 19 and then 18, he discusses all the world leaders, but this is specifically Trump on Kim Jong-un.
Nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and, all the different things.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden I got a call.
Those were some epic tweets, by the way.
Yeah, they were. No, they were epic
absolutely
everything. He said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger, and my red button works. Whoa! And I called him Little Rocket Man. If Little Rocket Man. Anyway, here's the bottom line. All of a sudden, I got a call from him, and they said they want to meet. They want to meet me, and we met.
Yeah.
As you remember, we met in Singapore. We have met also in Vietnam, and I got along with him great. We were in no danger. But President Obama thought we were going to end up in a war. A nuclear war with him. And let me tell you, he's got a lot of nuclear stuff, too.
Exactly.
He's got plenty of nuclear. He can do plenty of damage.
Yes, because, people like Kim Jong-un, they respond to strength, not weakness.
Well, He and I had a good
strength,
relationship.
you're
Remember, I met him and we walked onto his land. Nobody ever walked onto his land before. I walked onto his. I wouldn't say. Let's bring up Secret Service again. I wouldn't say they were thrilled when I did that. I walked onto his land, and it was an amazing period.
Boy, and Bob, that video was an amazing video where he's standing there at that demarcation, that line.
The DMZ, yeah.
The DMZ, and he's talking to him, and he's like, hello, and he shakes, and he just slaps his little shoulder like 5 or 6 times, and he goes, can I come in? And he goes, this is the first time nobody's ever done this, and he comes over and like, bro, we had strength. We had somebody that people feared, and it wasn't like fear like, oh, this guy's crazy, he's just gonna nuke us. No, it was strength. It was, dude, personality. It was fun. Did you watch the whole thing, Adam? His personality came off. He was funny. He was there. He showed strength. Like, dude, you want to hear what I took away from this, Rob? He could talk off script for hours. He was funny. Trump and Elon, by the way, they have a great relationship. I didn't know it was going to be like this, Rob. Did you have any idea that these guys were this, like the respect that they have for each other?
I know that they talk privately because Elon has mentioned several times at large events that he and Trump had spoken on the phone. He said sometimes Trump calls me and we talk for a few hours.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new for the two of them, but it is interesting to hear two of the world's most interesting people. Is Elon the richest person in the world right now?
Yes.
So the richest person in the world speaking with the former leader of the free world on a phone call where the two of them are, because I mean they get into nuclear energy, they discuss religion. There's another great clip, Vinny, when you wrap up.
Well, can I say something about Elon before you do
Yes.
this? Because Tom wrote this in our BBD chat. I think it's really testament to where things stand, and I totally understand where Elon Musk is at this point, because I'm probably in the Elon Musk camp and the Rogan camp in that matter, where Musk said, I've not been very political before. They try to paint me as a far-right guy, which is absurd because I like to make electric vehicles. I supported Obama, period. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand. Historically, I was a moderate Democrat. Me too. But now I feel like we're at a critical juncture in the country. I think we all feel that. For the people out there in the moderate camp, me, I think you should support Donald Trump for president. I will. So, he's right. There's a lot of people in the middle. And America gets bipolar every 4 to 8 years. We go from Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden, and now we're going to see, and that's fine, that's great, that's democracy. But there's a lot of people in the middle that would have never voted for Trump in 16 or in 20, that are taking a very close look at Trump and being like, I think I gotta do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that feel that way.
For the sake of
The question is it enough? We'll see.
Unless something major happens, unless something big, something where you have to stay home or whatever, it's to me it's undeniable, because you nailed it, Adam. You've come a long way. For the viewers that don't know, you were all the way over there. Hillary, Biden.
No, I was a moderate Democrat. No, I wasn't all the way over there.
Well, you voted for
But
Hillary
the
and
point
you voted
is,
for Biden.
like, let's understand that concept, because that is a very important thing. The JFK Democrats, the Bill Clinton Democrats. He's from Arkansas. It's not like he's from Brooklyn.
Of course.
They feel lost. They're like, yeah, I just kind of believed in like liberal values and civil rights and
Run so hard
good
left.
pay, but now you want to turn all the kids into trannies and what? I'm not down for this wokeness.
Yeah.
And it's making people say, you know what? And there's a lot of people have to come to Jesus moment, say, they did lie to us about Trump.
Yeah.
The Russia
If you look back
thing.
historically, Kennedy is
Exactly.
standing in the middle, and the shoe on his right is touching the red side of center. That was Kennedy.
Right.
And Kennedy was never like a liberal over there. He was a Democrat in name only. He was a dinosaur. A Democrat in name only by today's
Exactly.
standards.
So if you want to look like as actual case examples, if you're a big case example guy, when I got hired to work with DVD at Valuetainment in 2020, he's like, where do you stand politically? I was like, I gotta tell you, I'm like the furthest right Democrat. The furthest right. I'm like a Joe Manchin Democrat. And he's a Democrat from West Virginia, which is the reddest state in the union. He is now what? A registered independent.
Yeah. He left.
Okay? RFK, who was a lifelong Democrat, family of JFK, an independent. Joe Rogan, a Bernie guy, probably going to vote for RFK, maybe Trump. We'll see. That's another conversation. Elon Musk voted for Obama. Said he stood in line for 6 hours. Now on Team Trump.
Did he vote for Biden? Did Elon vote for?
I don't know. But the point is, there's a lot of people in the movable middle, the sensible middle, who are like, yeah, bro, I'm down with the Democrats, I'm cool with the Republicans, whatever, that had to make a hard decision in 16. Yeah. Is it Trump or is it the legacy of Obama? And they went with Obama.
Yeah.
And 8 years later, they're looking at it, they're like, yeah, dude, I fucked up. Yeah. I'm going with Trump. Yeah. And that's where a lot of people feel right.
Well, I hope they actually do in the voting.
You were asking something big happening. And I think there's something big that's right in front of us. What people don't understand is we can all be tricked into thinking, oh, democracy is on the ballot because your guy is bad, so democracy is on the ballot and it's me. And that's what they're trying to do. What's going on right now is freedom is on the ballot and liberty and the state of government as we know it in the United States is on the ballot, and I will prove it to you. The European Commission is a international group in Europe that governs, like the FCC in the United States. They govern a lot of things around e-commerce, communications, and news, and they put out a letter where they went to Elon Musk and asked him to censor what he was doing with Donald Trump on the X space because it was going to be distributed in Europe, and they wanted him to censor it. And you had in the UK the Prime Minister stating inflammatory things that are said on X or, quote, other international platforms, meaning Insta, Meta, YouTube, right, TikTok, Snapchat. We believe that a time will come where we will be able to extradite those people that have those voices from foreign countries and bring them here for prosecution. If you do not hear in there, if you do not hear the footsteps of globalism walking down the hall, you, America, are not paying attention. This is globalism walking toward us, and we can hear the footsteps in the hall. Freedom and liberty and what's going on here, we need someone who will stand in the White House and say, no one will be extradited under this Constitution anywhere for free speech like that. But you have AOC and Omar and others that would gladly consent to the authority of European Commission and of international globalists and do it. So you need to think about that. America needs a savior, and I'm not talking religiously. I have my savior. I know where I'm going. I'm talking about America needs to be saved at this moment, and this is where we need Donald Trump, and then we need a new generation of sensible people willing to defend this Constitution, moderate in the middle, where all people can exist, but it's going to be led by this conservatives that are willing to stand up and say, I will take the bullet for freedom that all people will enjoy. That's what's on the ballot. Freedom is on the ballot right now. And this letter from the European Commission is real. They're walking down the hall, and there are people that have been elected in our government, in our cities and states, and yes, our Congress, that are willing to let it happen. When you go read that, just go look it up. Don't believe me. Forward this to your friends and have them look at it. Was there a letter from the European Commission? Was there a statement by the British Prime Minister that said that they would actually extradite Americans who said something on Twitter or X or Snapchat or TikTok that was anti or inflammatory what they want, and they try to get Musk to actually censor it? So they want to control the people that run the platforms? If that's the future you want, vote for Kamala Harris. If that's not the future you want, then vote for someone who's willing to be a savior of the system that you will need tomorrow and that you will need long after he serves his 4 years in term.
Tom, like one of the best pitches that I've heard in a while. And I'm sorry to the people out there that are just, they've been brainwashed to just hate Trump. Like all they think is Trump, 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 Trump. Put him out of your mind. Think of the message. Think of the mission. Think about what did he say in his campaign thing that he posted. The first post he posted on X was in there. He says, "They're not coming after me. They're coming after you, and I just happen to be in the way." Love him or hate him, guys. And I'm sorry you were brainwashed and psyop to just looking at this guy and going, Hitler, bad man, World War III, I'm sorry, but guess what? The future of this country is on the ballot, and I know people always say this is the most important election. Guys, it's never been like this. Technology's never been this advanced. Their manipulation, their tactics, and I'm telling you, you have to, don't vote with, I'm emotional. No, vote with this. Vote with what you know is right. The guy has laid it all out on the line, okay? The guy's been shot in the face. He got shot in the ear, and if that doesn't tell you they've been trying to destroy him, because what they want is deeper, Tom, and you nailed it. Look what's happening in the UK, bro. Those people can't even talk. They've been grabbing people, Adam, and arresting them. We talked about it before we started. If you're retweeting somebody's message that the government doesn't like, they grab you and they put you in jail.
As an accessory.
As an accessory. Okay, well, amen to the First and Second Amendment. But Rob, I know you have a couple more clips. Are you going to hit the fact that Trump's one of the biggest ones that I took away, that was that he promised to get rid of the Department of Education and give it to the states?
I don't have that. I do have, I think it's good to talk about, we brought up Elon and, Patriots doing something now.
Yes.
And trying to defend democracy now before it's too late. Clip number 6, Humberto. This is where Trump and Elon are talking about immigration, and they get to the point where both of them agree that they don't believe that the United States can last another 4 years of a Kamala Harris administration. Could you play clip number 6?
And I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For
Right.
3.5 years.
Yeah, no,
We have 20 million people
I think
border. It's a terrible.
Yeah, I think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States.
It is.
And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country.
You don't have a country
at that
left.
point.
Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. We think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, the 4. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from everywhere. And I had to stay in Mexico.
Yeah, I think this is a super important point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico.
No, Mexico left.
It's just the border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth. and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything.
We're already overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed.
Think about who is saying that. An immigrant to the United States, Elon Musk, who was not born in this country, born in South Africa, immigrated here, created industries of work for massive amounts of American citizens, is saying illegal immigration is the biggest threat to the United States, and if we don't do something about this now, in 4 years from now, we will not have a country. So when you go, why is Elon doing this? Why is Elon even entertaining this phone call? I really believe it's because he thinks this is the biggest and most important election of our lifetime, because if this doesn't go the right way and it goes the wrong way, it's end of democracy, not just in the United States. The United States is the beacon of light of democracy for the entire world. It's the end of democracy worldwide if we do not win this election.
But abortions, Rob.
Yeah. Trump should just come on like, hey, ladies, kill as many babies as you want. But
Yeah, that's great, your whole democracy thing. I slept with an asshole last night. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Abortion.
Well, isn't that,
2024.
Isn't that crazy? And
That's their campaign?
And by the way, you were talking about those
That is
middle
literally
people.
their campaign.
And you nailed, those middle people that you're talking about that will swing the election? That's what's going to make it go towards her.
It's already
women
happened.
that are like, we want it. By the way, it's women that aren't having sex with anybody, period. Orange hair psychos that are like, hey, we want abortion.
That's the ironic
Nobody's
part.
hooking up with you.
I think
That's the ironic part.
it's not women or men. It's uneducated people. Because my wife is for a woman's right to choose. She is. That being said, she cannot continue to put our family at risk by having another 4 years of having open borders in this country, inflation through the roof, a fentanyl crisis coming in through the southern border. So my wife is a lifelong Democrat who's going, I am voting for Trump in 2024. Does she think that women should be able to have the right to get an abortion under certain circumstances? Absolutely. But she paid attention to the issues. I think any reasonable person looks at the two candidates and goes, well, one hasn't spoken to anybody. The other is addressing every single issue that I have. Which way am I going to vote? At least the guy who's addressing the problems, not the person running from them.
Respect to your wife. You're giving the voters way too much credit.
I know.
Most people, Pat has came up with an idea where it's sort of like a tiered voting system where the more you contribute to society, the more jobs you create, the more involved you are, the more votes you should have as a person. And the less you contribute, you might get 0 votes. The reality is that's never going to happen. The Elon Musk of the world gets 1 vote. The dumb, woke, ideological leftist also gets 1 vote. And you have a math problem. There's going to be so many people out there that aren't even like hardcore this, hardcore that. They're just like, yeah, I heard that Trump is going to take away the abortion, and I'm out on that. Kamala. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but what about inflation? What about the border? What about crime? What about abortion? And there's a lot of girls that think like that.
That's Adam's making a very good point. You know, people are so distracted and not paying attention. It doesn't take much to pay attention. The fentanyl overdose crisis is actually worse now than it was last year, but it's dropped to number 4 among people who feel that they are news connected. In other words, when you do a survey of Americans, say, do you pay attention to the news and what things are important for society right now? And you get this: the election, the economy, immigration, fentanyl. Fentanyl has suddenly dropped to number 4. Something so horrible like fentanyl.
Hundreds of thousands.
But look at what they're saying. Well, the election is incredibly important. We have to get this right so the right people will be leading us. And then our economy is in a shambles, and people are suffering, and they've run up credit card bills, and they can't afford to buy food the way they used to. So that's number 2. Then immigration. All these people are coming across, and I have a friend who's in Arizona, and she sees immigration live in her front yard. I sit here in Missouri and I just debate my friend on it because it's not in my front yard. But my friend in Arizona says immigration is in her front yard, sleeping in the alley behind her house, and was right by the ATM, so she didn't go to the ATM because there's a couple weird guys there. And so now number 4 is fentanyl. That is what people who regard themselves to be news connected. So take a look at the overall crisis, and number 1, we have a crisis of leadership that we need to solve. Step 1 with this election.
Yeah, and by the way, we only have a couple minutes left. But in regard to Tom, when we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, how many Japanese died when we dropped the bomb?
I don't remember how many, but there was 2 sets. People that were killed by the immediate explosion. I say 3 sets.
Okay.
People that were killed because of injuries they suffered. Over the.
I'm saying the initial, Tommy. The initial boom.
And then
bomb.
lastly, the long-term cancers.
No, I'm saying the initial boom explosion.
I don't want to say a number, be wrong.
Rob, where are we at? 200,000?
I'm looking right now. Hiroshima death toll killed between 90,000 and 166,000 people, and then Nagasaki killed between 60 and 80,000.
Okay, guess what? From 2019 to 2022, the estimate. Guess what the estimate of fentanyl deaths? Americans dying in this country
3 years,
from fentanyl.
Right?
Over 250. Think about that. In 4 years,
250 what?
250,000 Americans, give or take, probably more, have died because of this fentanyl. That's more than Hiroshima. That's more than Nagasaki.
Together.
And that's not number 4, Tommy.
I remember during COVID, they used to compare how many people died during COVID to 9/11. Today is 10 9/11s dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 250,000 people. How many 9/11s dead? 2,977,000 or 200. 2,977 people died on 9/11. This is 10, 20 times the amount of that, and we have done nothing to address it. Meanwhile, we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan looking for Osama bin Laden and the head of the Taliban. So we'll do that for 3,000 people, but 250,000 people that
even
are
back off.
Can I make a
You're
suggestion?
all correct. Yeah. But the point is, a news-informed person has got fentanyl at number 4, and you're just making the point that there's such importance to the eletion and having a working economy.
What's the number 1, Tom?
Immigration.
Election, economy, immigration, fentanyl.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, fentanyl. I mean, the
Like
border,
you need
but the border.
leadership, and if there's no working economy, you don't have much of a country. And immigration is now.
I'm gonna make one point.
Yeah.
And because I feel like we're all pretty much agreeing on the overall concepts. We might have some disagreements on audio-visual technicalities, but what can be done out there? You're talking about being informed. You're talking about, you gotta go with this. To me, it's pretty damn simple. Us men overwhelmingly are gonna vote for Trump, percentage-wise.
Of course.
Women overwhelmingly are gonna vote for Kamala. Like Rob's wife, he just said, is a Democrat. He's convinced.
And objective polling in Georgia and Arizona makes exactly your point
So
right now.
the conversations that need to happen, this is great. I love this. Us boys talking to each other, we're just, all right, Trump, all right, guys, get out there, Trump. Unless we're communicating with women, and I don't know if you've noticed this, women tend to be quite emotional. Unless we say, hey, listen, ladies, like,
Sit this one out.
No, like, what's really important to you? Is your family important? Is kids important? Is the border? Is inflation? Is abortion?
Yeah, you can't break
really
them.
what's
You can't break they're so gone Adam, because the messaging, the psyop is so real. It's Hitler. He wants to come in your womb. He wants to take. It's such a.
But the point is, you don't need to convince a million. You need to convince 1,000 here, 1,000 in Wisconsin, 1,000 in Atlanta,
12,001 in Georgia.
Well,
That's the
11,000.
margin of
guess what?
victory.
Their husbands need to talk to
So
them and
that's
say,
my-
hey, well,
that's my
wife,
point.
wake the F up.
No,
because
like,
look at the.
Vinny,
What do you mean?
No,
What do
I've
you
been
mean?
married and now I'm divorced because I spoke to my wife like that.
Well,
You need to say, listen, honey, like, can we discuss really what's important to you? What do you think? What do you see the future of our country? Having conversations like that with the females in your life, whether they're your friends, whether they're your wife, whether it's your mom. Like my mom cannot stand Donald Trump. And if I'm like, Mom, you're an idiot, she's gonna be like, don't talk to me. I'm like, Mom, you see what's going on with inflation? You see what's going on? Why wouldn't you maybe reconsider? My mom, for the first time in her life, is thinking about voting for Donald Trump because the way I position it. So my challenge to all the guys out there, because I assume there's a lot of guys watching, is have nice, respectful, informative, educational conversations with women with empathy to say, listen, this is what I'm thinking, this is what you're thinking. Because women, whether you like it or not, they're thinking, they're taking away my rights. No, they're really not. But the whole country might not be here. So you might be in a globalized, socialist, Marxist country where you can get your abortions, ladies. Good luck with that.
Well, ask them what future they want. I think it's very simple. Ask them, average person, what kind of future do you want? Well, I want to have abortion. Okay, what else? And go right past it.
Exactly.
What kind of future do you want? Because you can go to Ukraine now, and abortions are way down in Ukraine 3 years in a row. You want to know why?
Because they're not having sex, as all the men are dead.
Correct. So what do you want to
Yeah.
wait for? Do you want to wait for when you lose liberty and freedom and you're overrun? And that is not a crazy statement.
I think, by the way, just to solve that whole because we're down with our 1.6. We're not having any babies. You want to have an abortion? You have to at least give us one kid, and then you can have one abortion. Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead, Rob.
Good luck with that.
Yesterday, in addition to everything going on when it came to the Trump-Elon X spaces, Trump also listed and released, and I sent this to Humberto. We're not going to read all of them, but he listed his 20 core promises to make America great again. So when you go, well, what are Trump's policies? If we could pull up the graphic and show, there are 20 different points that Donald Trump has made that he believes can right the course and fix America and the current conditions that we are in. Economically, nationally, security-wise, internationally with security. What has Kamala offered besides tax on tips and that she's going to fight inflation by
Bro,
taking
she's a
on
black female. That's it. That's
big
all she has to
industry.
do. What are you talking
Nothing.
about?
No.
No, nothing. Wait,
That's it.
do we have the?
She doesn't
I
need one
don't know
point.
if they have the graphic, but there it is. Okay, yeah, I mean, but there's 20 of them
Okay,
that he lists.
so so number one, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. I don't know if that's going to happen. End inflation and make America affordable again.
I love that.
Make America, sorry, Adam, your head. Okay, make America, go back up. Go back up. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far.
Drill, baby,
Drill, baby, drill. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into manufacturing superpower. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Kamala stole that. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and the Middle East. Okay, go to the next one. End weaponization of the government against American people. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Okay, we can keep going to that, Alberto.
The next one, 11 through 20 is a separate tweet.
Okay, it's all good.
So you might have to,
We got it.
but
He's got a plan.
he's at least offering a solution, and that's what I listened
Yeah,
to
but
last
he's got
night.
one problem. He's not a black woman.
Yeah, well, he gets
So
self-identified.
he's
Self-identified.
an angry orange
Adam,
man,
he can
and that's
self-identify.
it.
He can self-identify as whatever he wants, because that's the world that we live in, and go and then win and then piss off all the women, because he'll be the first black woman president, and I would do it.
Black man woman.
And Rob, do you have one more? Because I definitely want to get into what they did with Tulsi, because we're talking about
What
Kamala's
future do you want, baby? What
yeah.
future do
And
you
guys, because I want Rob to do this, because we only have 10 minutes left. I do want to, because you guys were talking about how he's warning everybody of what Kamala's presidency would do that 4 years. I have something, but Rob, say what
The
you
final clip I'd like to play, because we've gone back and forth, Vinny. We've talked about on this podcast, Unusual Suspects.
Yeah.
We've talked about Joe Biden's cognitive decline 7, 8, 9 months ago. It ends up coming to fruition. We talked about, oh, it's weird that Joe Biden's dropping out. Oh, it's weird that we haven't seen him in like 7 days. Oh, it's weird that now Kamala Harris is in. Was there a coup? Well, Donald Trump addresses that yesterday, and I think that's very important. When it comes down to the 2024 election, outside of abortion, what is the other argument for the Democrats? Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. But you have to ask yourself, is what is going on right now in the Democratic Party? What is going to happen at the DNC next week? Is that democracy? Because according to Donald Trump, it was a coup, and according to all reports from the White House, it was a setup to push out Joe Biden to bring in Kamala Harris, and now we have Donald Trump acknowledging that. Humberto, clip number 11, if you could play that.
Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably, and some people said, "Oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly," or "I did well in the debate." The first night they said, "Wow." One of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different...
Yeah.
Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started. And say what you want. This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
Yeah, and they took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him.
Oh, what they did with this guy, and I'm no fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened. Russia would never have attacked Ukraine, and we'd have no inflation. And we wouldn't have had the Afghanistan mess, if you think of it.
Well, listen.
So it's nice to hear someone actually saying the quiet part out loud.
Yep.
Someone from a position of authority or was in a position of authority and is trying to win back that position.
You sound like an angry patriot, Rob.
You definitely do.
You sound very angry.
Yeah, by the way, you guys, you can get that shirt at btmerch.com. But let's be honest with each other.
Look at that face.
Rob,
Those
let's be
eyes.
honest. He actually did go. I don't think Trump saw it. He went on CBS morning something a couple days ago, and Joe Biden's like, well, they go, what happened? And Joe Biden goes, well, a couple people in the Democratic leadership, Senate and House, went up to me and said, hey, listen, you're going to hurt us. You're going to hurt the racists. So, I'm telling you right now, it was Barack Obama, Hillary, a bunch of people in the room, and they went like this, hey, Joe, I know, you're kind of there. I know your wife, she loves to be on Vogue and sit in your White House chair and act like she's running the show. It's over. And so if I hear one more Democrat, one more, and guys, everybody that's watching home, you hear one more Democrat say the word democracy again to your face, tell them to shut up, okay? And explain to them, where's your democracy? No, because think about it. Did you vote for this? Did you pick Kamala? No, your Democratic Party pushed out the old guy because he lost in one debate. It took one debate to expose his ass, which is what we've been telling you guys for the past 4 years, okay? So there goes your democracy. And going back to the point, Rob, are you good? Yeah. I want to tell you guys, I know this is off topic, but it's not really off topic. You guys mentioned, and Tom, I talked to you about this before we started, this 4 years that's going to be coming up, and she's a viable threat for Kamala Harris. Tulsi Gabbard, on August 4th, a whistleblower came out. A Federal Air Marshal Service reported that Tulsi Gabbard was enrolled in the TSA's Quiet Skies program. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's a domestic terror watch list under Mayorkas' Department of Homeland Security, okay? This happened the day after she was on Laura Ingram's show, The Angle, where she's talking about how dangerous Kamala's presidency would be. Umberto, and if you guys haven't seen this, play this clip. This is all she said, and she was put on a watch list. Go for it.
Your foreign policy decisions are being made by unelected people in the military-industrial complex who are profiting from us being in a constant state of war, and the national security state that has more power to undermine our freedoms and liberties when we are in a state of war. Kamala Harris does not have the strength to stand up to the military-industrial complex.
Oh, okay, now, so FYI, then, guys, this is, I'm gonna get Angry Patriot here in a second. In a letter from a whistleblower, Tom, attorney Tristan Levitt, he writes that the special mission coverage on her case reportedly involved 2 explosive detection K-9 teams following her, I'm watching her, 1 transportation security analyst in explosives, 1 plainclothes TSA supervisor, and 3 federal air marshals on every flight that Tulsi Gabbard boards. Okay, and let me explain this for people that don't know. She's an active duty lieutenant colonel for the Army National Guard, okay? In the Army, all right? She was deployed in Iraq in 2004. She was assigned to, as a field medical unit in a combat zone and received a combat medal badge for service under enemy fire. She was in Iraq fighting terrorists, okay, so that we could be safe here. And Mayorkas and remember the cabal that you were talking about? This cabal put her on the domestic terror watch list because she said what she said. You guys should be scared of a Kamala presidency, okay? Now think about this. For the rest of her life, Tom, for the rest of her life, she has to look over her shoulder. She has to check. Her phones are tapped for sure for the rest of her life. Do you understand how much of a disrespectful? I hope she's suing because that is, as a veteran, this drives me insane. But beyond spit in the face, beyond the Secret Service denial, besides denying RFK and then finally giving to him after Trump was shot, Mayorkas is putting her on a terror watch list for saying Kamala is horrible.
You know why she's so dangerous?
Why?
You know what's worse than Republicans criticizing Kamala?
What?
Democrats.
Of course, well, she was a Democrat.
She was a Democrat nominee for president in the last election in 2020. It doesn't, you don't have to have an amazing memory to remember she single-handedly ended Kamala's campaign.
I remember that. It was amazing.
She was fighting sort of internally with Hillary Clinton. She was labeled a Russian asset, whatever. We've spent a lot of time with Kamala. Sorry, with Tulsi. None with Kamala.
I've interviewed Kamala.
It's true. Here on this stage, we spent time with her. She's a very credible person. Is there a more disruptive force to the Democratic nominee in the Democratic Party than a veteran woman of color who is a Democrat, who ran for president, who is now challenging their entire ideology and beliefs? She is public enemy number 1 in terms of females to basically subjugate and put on this
and then
list.
to put her on a domestic terror. It's like there's KKK members that are on that list. There's Middle Easterns here that literally are radicalized, that they let them walk free. You put on active duty, bro. Dude, there's no disrespect, Tom, that I could eat. I can't even form a sentence of how pissed off, and I hope Tulsi sees this, how mad I am for her, because for the rest of her life, guys, you don't, Adam.
No, it's not going to be the rest of her life.
No, what I'm saying is, guys, once you're on their radar, even if they say we're going to drop you, they're still going to be monitoring her. They've already tapped it.
It's all BS because she's not doing anything wrong. It's not like she's actually
but put
she's
yourself,
flying
put yourself in her every time she goes to the airport. Go ahead, Tom.
But it takes no, it's not going to be for the rest of her life. It's going to be till someone is sitting in the Oval Office who is a bigger patriot than those that are non-patriots. And it is to dismantle the apparatus that was there. You know, Vivek Ramaswamy said it right. He said, look, there are components that he had studied and he had spoken to experts that there were components that needed to be disassembled in this complex.
Yes.
And once you do, then a lot of these programs are unstaffed. But you have to have the people around you willing to support you, and there has to be a leader that's willing to take the first step. As opposed to a leader who, Joe Biden, who looks at a post-it on his mirror and says, oh, it must be football season. I'm supposed to be hard on the punter.
Yeah.
And it's up, sir, I'm sorry, that says pardon Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh! Let's end it there. That
all
was
right, guys.
great.
Well, listen, guys. Rob, Adam, Tom, thank you guys so much. This was, last minute thing. I think we pulled it off. Umberto, thank you, Jake, everybody in the back. Guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We need you guys. We love you guys. We do this
Vinny,
every...
thank you for having us.
I love you guys. We're
Thank you.
unusual. How
Thank you,
unusual does
Humberto.
this get?
Thank you, Tom.
And,
Thank you, boys.
And just really fast, guys. Tom.
That bear attack happened just miles away from here at base and we found the void energy.
But who cares? You know what I mean? You could get you could get the end to the war immediately if you were to do this.
Do you know how many jobs now occupied by people with no skills whatsoever, totally pointless people, pure parasites on our economy and culture, would be lost?
Yeah.
If we get rid of NATO?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Really,
that's
right?
100% the problem.
That's the issue.
It's why not get rid of the energy department, or the education department. I mean, they've served no purpose other than self-perpetuation.
But they've made all of those areas much worse,
of course,
than they were, right? It's like unbelievable. I mean, like the state of education in America, what did it get a lot better since, what was it, Jimmy Carter, I think, created the Department of Education? It's like, what? And of course, like, I mean, it's, because this model doesn't work. It should have been the one lesson of the 20th century. That model doesn't work. Centralized control does not work. This is why all of those countries failed and continue to fail everywhere it's tried. And now we're doing it, and we're failing.
Because it benefits the few. So let me circle back to the beginning of the conversation here at the end. You haven't been here in 2.5 months, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
A lot has changed. All of your kind of core suspicions have been confirmed, I think, by the assassination attempt and the subsequent coup. Where does that leave you? Like, we've just spent a couple hours talking about how bad things are and about all the signs that they're ominous signs that they're about to get much worse. Does that make you feel afraid, hopeful, excited, combination?
Yeah, probably a combination, I would say, which, by the way, we didn't even really get into the coup, but it is pretty crazy how much of a blatant coup we just watched. And then I've seen people like Democrats on social media and stuff, and they'll call like people like us out, and they'll be like, well, first you said the guy was too senile to run, and now you're saying it was a coup when they removed him. You're like, yeah, both are true. I don't know what to tell you. The guy is clearly senile, and also he is still the president of the United States of America, and there's a process here.
They will they'll say, and it's just, the one thing I can't get over is not that people disagree with me. I assume people are always going to disagree with me. I'm often wrong, so it's like, it's okay to disagree with me. What I can never metabolize, accept, deal with is people's willingness to just say anything.
You just like move
because it's expedient. The capacity for lying among certain people just blows my mind. You tell Joe Scarborough, you got to say this because there's some material advantage to you. He will say it no matter what it is, and they're all that way. It's like, how would you describe threatening a man until he agrees not to run for president again, and then installing somebody without a vote? Like, that's a coup.
And by the way, it's totally unclear, and I would say, we don't know for sure, but I would say like the high likelihood is that he didn't ever agree to it. Until after the letter was out. I mean, look, it is so, you cannot overstate how bizarre it is that a few weeks before the Democratic convention, when Joe Biden had already gone through a couple weeks of all these calls for him to step down, at every single turn said, no, I've made up my mind. I am not stepping down. It's me versus Trump, so get used to it. I beat him last time, and I'll beat him again this time. That morning, the morning that the letter comes out, was Sunday. His surrogates are going on the Sunday talk shows and saying, enough with
like
this
an
noise.
hour before the letter
They
comes
go,
out.
enough of this. He's made up his mind. He is running. Even after Pelosi and Schumer meet with him, even after the 90 million or whatever is held back from his, he's like, no, I'm going. And then you're telling me the sitting president of the United States of America, a few weeks before the convention, is announcing that he won't be seeking re-election. And this is not done in an address to the nation. This is done on personal stationery and just tweeted out, and then in a separate tweet he endorses Kamala Harris, and it's not for days later that we hear from the president? Like, that is crazy. I mean, I know so many crazy things are going on that it's almost easy to not appreciate how crazy that one is, but and you can say, oh, he had COVID or whatever. They just get up, I don't know, put on one of those masks that you guys pretended worked for so many years and like go. He can even be an edited video. It doesn't have to be live. I mean, just like I know he stumbles a lot or whatever. It could be 2 minutes. But how do you not address the American people about that? And it really seems like, and of course Cy Hirsch had that reporting on the call with Obama, where they had Kamala Harris on board. We're going to invoke the 25th Amendment. But my suspicion is that phone call happened. You know, like the Schumer and Pelosi strong-arming didn't work. Obama comes in, we're going to remove you from office, and this will be your legacy. And then the letter is tweeted out already, and it's presented as a fait accompli to him. It's all over, and then eventually he goes, I have.
But what does it say? I mean, if the sitting president of the United States, purportedly the most powerful man in the world, doesn't have enough power to run again for the job he currently holds, he's not allowed to. None of it's real. The presidency is not real.
Yeah.
The president doesn't hold the power. I mean, they just showed us that.
Yep.
So it's then, how do you, I mean, people are not thinking this through. Our system is voluntary, all systems are. How do they expect us to accept the election results, abide by those results, pay our taxes? How do they expect us to obey when the system has been revealed as illegitimate?
Yeah, well, it's the only way would be some type of escalation of force. You know, I mean, that's the only way to do it. I will say, though, that, you know, much like when the Soviet Union collapsed and was largely peaceful, you know, and was kind of like a really amazing thing.
Very peaceful.
And now what happened in the years following it was not good, and that didn't need to happen, and, you know...
No, but they pulled their nuclear weapons out of all their satellite states. Yeah. They dissolved the Warsaw Pact. I mean, that happened, by the way, 33 years ago this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was on my honeymoon.
And you know, there were people at the top who wanted to not let it happen. They're like, no, escalate the force and don't let this happen. Put down these revolts like they had done previously. And ultimately, they just kind of lost. And like enough people were just like, no, just let them go, you know?
Yeah, it's not working.
So you kind of hope that something like that can happen in the United States of America. And that doesn't mean like a national divorce type thing, which is something that has become kind of a popular thing that some people advocate for. But it does mean some type of like decentralization of power, and Washington just having much less power than it currently does have. I think that it is, and I said this to you last time, it's the great case for optimism, is that all of this government tyranny relies on propaganda, and the propaganda is being broken at an unbelievable rate. Things that would have seemed unimaginable very recently in my adult lifetime, like not, you know, generations ago, but just years ago. And we're seeing that now. And people are waking up in a very profound way. I mean, it really is, it is all fake. And more people are aware of that. Like, if you zoom out and go like from my mother's, you know, when my mother was my age to me being this age, it is unbelievable how much more people understand that this is all fake.
And you're right,
now.
Propaganda is the key. I mean, Joseph Goebbels, not to make everything a Nazi reference, but it was 5'4", crippled, never fired a gun in his life except into his own head in the end, never commanded an army.
Yep.
You know, he was the political chief of Berlin, but he was the propaganda chief, and therefore he was the pivotal person in the Nazi government. He was, because he was in charge of people's brains. And so that you cannot, and I'm not comparing anyone to the Nazis. I hate Nazi references in general, but that's just true.
Right.
Propaganda is kind of everything, actually.
Yeah, and that it's the most powerful thing to control. It's more powerful than controlling the laws or the money or the military.
That is absolutely right.
You control what people think, you know, and you control narratives. And it's amazing. I mean, look, it's still very effective.
Oh, I know.
It's not nearly as effective as it once was. But it is still there. And you see it like when people get taken over by the propaganda. It's such a bizarre thing. I mean, it's like talking to someone and there's no soul there when they just repeat back the propaganda to you or something. Oh, January 6th was an insurrection. You're like, I'm not having a conversation with you. I'm having a conversation with like what Don Lemon convinced you're supposed to believe.
You know people who've fallen for that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. No one in like my close circle or anything
of course
like
not.
that.
But what do you think? I know I'm so far afield again, but I don't know the answer to this. What distinguishes someone who falls for the crudest kind of propaganda, January 6th was an insurrection, Don Lemon's smart, whatever the lie is, from you? Some of these people are smart. I mean, it's not just an IQ difference.
Oh, no. It's not an IQ difference.
Oh, I know.
There's people far smarter than me who
Me
fall
too.
for it.
Oh,
you know?
me too.
Yeah, no question about that.
So what is it?
I don't completely know. I think there's something about there's it's like human beings we're pack animals, you know, and that's like very at the core of us.
Yes.
You stay within the pack because
Yes.
like out here is death.
Yes,
You know, and
100%,
like
you
so
starve
like
to
you
death.
stay in here, right?
Yeah.
And there's a personality type that certain people have. It's not, again, it is not about being left or right. It's not at all. But there's something where people have, you know, like there's people who, like, I disagree with on a lot of issues. But like Alex Berenson is very willing to go outside the pack.
I totally
He's like,
agree.
okay, oh, you want to like have all these arrows come at me? Okay, fine. You know, Glenn Greenwald is very willing to do that. I think you're very willing to do that.
Berenson's such a great example because I really like Berenson. I text them all the time. But I just absolutely disagree with him on a lot of issues. But I will never
during
stop.
COVID, he was so great. I mean, his Substack was like cathartic to
I
read
totally
during COVID.
agree.
I mean,
He is smart. Berenson's smart.
Very,
He's a
very
good reporter. I think he's a really nice guy. But really, his indispensable quality was bravery.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what made him different.
That's it. Because look, I mean, like he was in.
Yeah.
You were in,
big time.
and you're in the New York Times. You're in all this, and you're going to risk all of that just to be right about something. You know, I mean, like it doesn't even make sense when I say it out loud. You're like, why would you do that? It's a terrible calculation.
No, it's
like,
totally true.
But there are some people who just do kind of. So that's, you know. But when you, so many of the people who. And this is something, I don't say this like attacking right-wing America. It's something like to be humble about. But like in 2002, in the run-up to the war in Iraq, so many of these people who are like great now about seeing through all of this just knew it as a certainty. That like, obviously Saddam Hussein has nuclear weapons and he clearly was involved in 9/11 and like, he's gonna hand these nukes that he doesn't have off to the terrorists he's not friends with and they're gonna nuke Kansas unless you go support overthrowing him. And they just knew that. As a matter of fact, and essentially, what are you, some type of wimp if you don't agree with them on that?
Totally true.
And they didn't even kind of realize that they were doing the exact same thing as some 20-year-old who tells you about climate change.
Totally
You're
right.
just repeating lies that someone else put into your head. Like you are a puppet right now. You know what I mean? And you don't even realize it. And so, but it was like, I don't know. That was the culture they were in. That was the world they were in. They saw these towers get hit, and what are you, a pussy? No, you were going to go do something about that. And so, it's people play people's sense of identity is very important to them. I remember, one time, I have a younger brother who's much younger than me. He's 13 years younger than me from my mother's second marriage, and he's great, unbelievable kid. I love him to death. And so anyway, he was, I think he was 3 years old. So I was 16. And I was watching a Knicks game. I'll never forget this. 3-year-old kid. And he comes over to me and he was like asking about it. And I was like, here, come watch the game with me. And so we're sitting on the couch. He's 3. We're watching a Knicks game. And he looked at me and he went, well, which one is me? And I was like, what do you mean, which one is you? I was like, oh, we're rooting for the team in the blue shirts. And then he kind of accepted that. Like, okay, that's... But I just remember always thinking there's like this... It's like so profound that that's what's in us. It's like, okay, you want me to like get into this like kind of projected abstraction. So who am I? What defines me? Like, that's so important to people. It's like right at the core of everything is like, who am I like as a person? Like, what's my identity? And I think that for, like, look, you saw this with like, broadly speaking, like, liberal America. Well, during COVID, it's like their identity, their whole identity is that they're the scientific people. You know, you guys are the backwards rubes who believe in superstition and religion, but we believe in science and reason and this is what makes us better. That's their identity. So once you tell them that, it's like, well, the science says this. It was so easy to get them in. That's why it's so easy to get them in on climate change. And then with like more conservative America, their whole identity is that like they're the tough ones who defend the country, who aren't wusses, who will defend the Constitution. And so as soon as you fed them a narrative that gave them that identity. It was so easy to fool them with all this other stuff. So I do think that's a big part of, like, they're very good. That's what the propagandists do at their best, is they play off your, sense of self, your identity.
It's moral judo.
Yeah.
They use your body weight against you. They take your momentum and pull you
exactly
way past where you thought you would be.
But more and more people are waking up to that stuff now, and so that's good.
You've had a big effect on a lot of people, including me, and I appreciate, Dave Smith, you're coming.
I mean, Tucker, I could do this all day long with you. So
good. Well, I hope you come back before we're both arrested.
That would be nice.
We can say once again, man, it's only been 2.5 months, but everything's different.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, even if we could just share a cell once we get arrested, that would be real cool. You just continue this on and on.
I will never submit. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
So it turns out that YouTube is suppressing our show. I know. Shocking. That in an election year, with everything at stake, Google would be putting its thumb on the scale and preventing you from hearing anything that the people in charge don't want you to hear. But it turns out it's happening. So what can you do about it? Well, we could whine about it. That's a waste of time. I'm not in charge of Google. Or we could find a way around it, a way that you could actually get information that's true. It's not intentionally deceptive. And the way to do that on YouTube, we think, is to subscribe to our channel. Subscribe, and you'll have a much higher chance of hearing what we say, and we hope you will.
New York City, August 9th, there are still some tickets available. August 10th is sold out except for a couple seats, but August 9th has actual seats available for real American human beings in a Biden economy. So make sure you go buy those right now. Ticketmaster.com. Kill Tony live from Madison Square Garden, August 9th and August 10th.
Joe Rogan podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Blew out the
He
room
was
every time.
on fire.
I'd have been like 15 or something, 16,
Wow.
and I saw Carol Leifer kill for like an hour, I think. That was exciting. That club was rocking.
Yeah, it's gone though, right? Are there good clubs on Long Island now? Like, what's that?
Well, jeez, man, I don't know what's
There was always
happening.
Governors that
was
always
great.
existed.
Yes. I remember there was a few bars that were comedy clubs that I used to do there. I just don't remember the names right now. But back in the day, when I was young, I would go out to the island. Governors, I don't think I got on there much. Maybe a couple times when I was young. That was kind of a rocking spot.
Oh yeah.
Steve-O. Wasn't Steve? Do you remember Steve-O?
No.
He was
I know Steve-O, the Jackass guy.
Jackass. No, there was another guy, Steve-O, who was a funny comic. And John Mulrooney, you remember Mulrooney?
Sure, yeah.
I remember he was kind of huge out there.
He used to be a cop, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. He was. I remember Mulrooney was by far, him and Kevin Meaney were the two guys you didn't want to go after. I remember Mulrooney would just destroy a room. He was so loose and could dominate the room, and then they bring you up and you're like, oh, goodness gracious.
I saw Kevin Meaney once at Catch a Rising Star in Cambridge, and it was insanity. It was when he was at his peak, absolute peak. I wasn't even thinking about doing comedy then. I was just a comedy fan, and I went with a friend of mine from high school. I think we were both like 18, and we went and we saw him just fucking destroy for an hour to the point where I got out of there. It was like I had an ab workout. I was in pain.
Yes.
I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yes, I know.
He was so in the groove. Like everything he did was funny.
Man, and I've never in my life killed as hard as Kevin Meaney. I mean, there's nobody who can kill that. I remember me and Rock would be on the side at Catch a Rising Star watching Meaney do whatever he did, and you were just like, yeah, I don't think I can get laughs that loud. It fucking blew out the room every time.
He was on fire. He was on fire, but it was weird. It's like it didn't sustain. Like he later in his career, for whatever reason, it just whatever he had for those few years like in the 80s and the early 90s, it didn't keep going for some strange reason. He kept doing stand-up, but something was missing. I don't know what it was.
Did he I know he killed on the Tonight Show with Carson. I'm sure he went out and destroyed and did all. I don't know what he wanted. I don't know what the next thing he wanted. I just remember, maybe, didn't he do a TV show, Uncle Buck?
Yeah, but that was not that good.
Well,
you know, that was the John Candy movie that they turned into a television show. And I think, you know, there was always the thing that he was in the closet, and then he came out of the closet, and then it was kind of like right before he died.
I'll tell you, I did a Boston Club Comedy Connection when I was 17. I ate it. I came off stage. I mean, I bombed, and my dad was there watching. It was a terrible feeling. And even the MC, who I don't remember, when I came off stage after eating it, I'm walking. You know that awful feeling of walking through the crowd, and they're all looking at you like, Jesus, dude. And then the fucking MC stopped me. He goes, Adam. I turn around, you know, with your head spinning and shit. I go, you know, I look at the guy. He goes, class clown? I go, I nod my head like, yes. And he goes, maybe stick with that. Like, laughing. So I go, okay. You know, I fucking walked off. And then I went into the dressing room because I wanted to hide. And Meanie, funny kid, blah, 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 said some nice shit to me. I always remembered, that Kevin Meanie, fucking good dude, man. He was lifting me up.
Yeah, some encouragement from a real comedian when you're just starting out can go a long way.
Yeah, man.
Because in the beginning, it's so shaky. You don't know if it's going to work out. Like, what am I doing?
Oh, you go home at night, head spinning.
What am I doing to myself? Why am I doing this?
Yes. It's fucking insane. It truly is the sickest feeling. And then there's the days or nights you go on stage and you're not doing good, you're eating it, but you have a confidence. And you're like, I'm pretty good at this, even though I'm fucking eating it.
Right.
I feel pretty good right now.
You feel like I'm going to figure this out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. Your movies kept my family sane through the beginning of the pandemic. We went on an Adam Sandler run where, like, we watched basically the only one we didn't watch is Little Nicky. We didn't, for whatever reason, we never got to that one because we watched other ones like I watched the Zohan. I might have seen the Zohan 20 times.
Wow.
I fucking love that movie.
Thank you. Yeah.
Such a funny movie. Why didn't you ever do a second one?
That's fucking always talked about it. I mean,
dude, it's a no-brainer.
It would
be a little tough sell
right now. We'd have to wait a minute.
Put that one on the shelf for a little bit.
We had to put that one on the shelf a bunch of times when we were about to do it because shit would go on. We'd be like, maybe it's a tough time to do it right now. And then we got it. We did it. The intention was good to try to say, let's try to get some peace out there. And then another part of it is I'll never fucking be in that shape again. I don't think I could ever do that. And then
you gotta hire a trainer.
I know, but I can't stick with it, buddy. You are doing great. How the fuck are you eating so good and hitting it so hard? I'm like, you know, I used to fucking take working out so serious when I was in maybe up to like 25, 26. And now I can't fucking do it. I play hoop, then I eat, and every time I'm eating, I'm going, what are you doing? You don't need to do this. I can't stop. Just got a little bit of thickness all over.
Yeah, it's something that just you have to stay on the horse. You can't back off at all. Especially as you get older. You back off at all. You just start. What is this? You start feeling this thing.
Oh my God! I know. I have a new. I know, buddy.
This episode is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Being an MMA fighter takes a lot of different skills. You need to be strong and durable and quick. And if you really want to be good, it helps to master all different kinds of moves from different types of sports, from wrestling, boxing, jiu-jitsu, and more. Having that mix of skills is a real help in the ring. But that's true for any job. If you're hiring, you probably know just how valuable it is to find people with a mix of skills and specialties. A great place to find those people is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. ZipRecruiter can help you find qualified candidates fast. More importantly, though, when you find a strong candidate you want for your team, it can connect you with them right away. With ZipRecruiter's pre-written invite to apply message, you can personally reach out to potential hires and even encourage them to apply sooner. In the fight for top talent, ZipRecruiter is undefeated. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan to try ZipRecruiter for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Well, you fucking walk in now and I go, Jesus, that'd be fun to look like that. I always fucking wanted to be. I no shit. When I was 18 to 23, I hit it so hard. I never looked like you. I never was jacked.
You look good during the Zohan.
Pretty good.
Really good.
Pretty fucking good for me.
Yeah.
That was as good as I can get. And I naturally had a little something going on when I was real, like the college years. But now it's fucking rough. My kids go, what? My daughter, one daughter, Sadie's always saying, Dad, get the training from the Zohan. Why would you ever give that up? Why did you stop? I was like, it's a lot of work. Yeah, but didn't you like the way you felt? Yeah. Well, you should do that. Get that feeling back and stuff like that. But I just can't jump in there.
Well, she sounds like a good coach.
She's good. Yeah, she's
good
saying the right
motivator.
shit.
Saying the right
Yeah.
saying the right stuff.
She's right. Everything she says, I have a thought where I don't promise her. I go, let me think about that. That's a good idea.
Watch out.
The whole thing is just not overdoing it in the beginning. Starting slow, where it's maintainable, and then slowly build up. That's the key.
So you give yourself new goals?
Well, I never stop, but I mean when you get started.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, people try to go too hard, like, oh my God, I'm out of shape. I'm gonna run fucking 10 miles, and I'm gonna lift weights, and then I'm gonna do. And then you're too tired, and then you're so fucking sore in the morning, like, I can't keep this up. The whole key is just give your body enough where it's pushing it, but it's not exhausted. You're not breaking your body down.
I need Amorphous.
Strengthening it slowly. You gotta get sick the same way, or you gotta get better the same way you got sick. Right? You got sick over time.
Yeah.
Over time, eating food and fucking up. And then you got to get better that way. Over time, slowly start to morph your body back into a good condition.
That's good.
And you can't. Everybody tries to go too hard. They try to go too crazy. They
You
do
get
something
excited.
unsustainable.
You get excited to get it going again, and then
you get injured. You break yourself down.
Yes.
You hurt your knees. You hurt your back. It's like it's too much.
Tear or something.
Yeah. The key is just not do too much. Just do enough and just cut back on. You say I'm gonna only have 2 cheat days a week. 2 days a week I'm gonna eat whatever the fuck I want.
Well,
5
that's
days a
good.
week I'm gonna eat clean, and then break it down to 6 days a week I'm gonna eat clean.
Wow.
And 1 day a week I'm gonna fuck off.
Yeah.
If you could go 1 day a week just fucking off, you can get a lot done.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
the fuck off day is from start to finish. You can do whatever
Do
the hell you
whatever
want.
the fuck you want. 1 day.
That's good. And then the other
One day.
days, the good days, what do you like? Do you eat a breakfast and all that shit?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I skip breakfast lately. That's my new move the last year.
It's like intermittent fasting.
I guess so, but I'm supposed to fucking, lock in on 8 hours or 6 hours, and I always say I do 1 to 9, say. Then around fucking 10, I go, let me have some grapes. And then I go, I think I'm not supposed to have
alright,
grapes.
Ninja.
And then I
Sweet.
go,
Also, what's up, dude?
grapes.
Hope you're
And
having a
then
good day.
it opens up to some other shit.
Grapes aren't the problem.
The grapes lead to some bad
Grapes
shit.
lead to waffles.
Fucking Skinny Cow. That's the new thing. Skinny Cow ice cream sandwiches in the house started a little problem for me.
What are Skinny Cow?
They're supposed to be a little better for you because the calories aren't awful. I think it's like 130. So I go, 130. Usually they're fucking like 330. So then I eat two of them. I go, it's still under that 330. Then I go, if I have a third, it's still in the threes. So I eat a third, and then I fucking go, I gotta stop, man.
Yeah. If you really want to be serious about taking, just hire somebody. You got money.
I got the best guy, the guy who did me for the Zohan, and I love him. It's just, I see him, and I love him so much that I go, let's keep this a friendship. Let's keep I don't want to. I play so much basketball, though. That keeps me okay. Doesn't want me to I don't want to take my shirt off, but I don't.
How often do you play?
Maybe 4 or 5.
Just chilling.
Where
I got like 4 mil right here.
That's great.
That's pretty good.
That's very good.
That's
That's a key. If you could do something that you really enjoy doing.
Yes.
If you something that keeps you active that you enjoy, that makes it so much easier because you're playing a game. So you're getting fit, but you're in the middle of a game
Exciting.
that you really like.
You don't hate that at all. That is the best. I think that's the only thing I got that you fight. That's fucking fun, right?
Martial arts are fun. Yeah.
Oh, geez, these are a mil each. I got 2 of these.
fought. I never even thought. One time, KJ, we left a hotel, and I think he just came from fighting with one of the guys who were teaching him some shit.
I got 7 mil now,
He was
Jesus.
so riled up from it.
I was
Put me in
burning
some
on cash,
fucking
but
crazy
now I'm good.
hole out of nowhere. We were going to dinner. All of a sudden, he came at me. I was like, holy shit. And he fucking grabbed me, twisted me around, had me in some weird hole. I said, oh, okay, he's just letting me know he can destroy me. But but I remember just going, yeah, that's fucking something I should get into, man. But I just can't. I'm not flexible at all. You're very flexible. Huh?
Yeah.
That helps.
Well, I started stretching before I hit puberty. That's the big thing. Or during puberty, really. So it's like while your body's thickening, you know, you're
Keeping
stretching.
it loose.
And
That,
that
buddy,
makes a giant difference.
By the way, KJ with being flexible is very odd. He can put the hands.
Yeah.
He's fucking weirdly.
He's a very athletic guy. He just eats like a fucking army.
He does get excited.
Yeah.
I sometimes, when we were young, I'd say, tell me your McDonald's order. And he'd be like, okay, 3 quarter pounders, 3 Big Mac, whatever the fuck it was.
He goes hard.
It was his McDonald order is insane.
Hard. Kevin go hard. But he also, when he was on the podcast, he told me he fasted once for how many days did he fast for?
60-somethingers.
Yeah, some insane amount of days. It was like 40 days or something crazy.
Yeah, maniac.
Something insane.
And then I think he ate a sandwich and it really hurt
Yeah, I'm
a bit.
sure. Your stomach's probably like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my God, he's a madman with that fasting.
Yeah, well, he's an intense dude. You know, he's just intense with eating too.
Yeah.
But if you ever watch him hit the mitts, you ever watch him hit pads, he can fucking strike.
Yes, I know.
It's kind of shocking. For people that don't know him, you see him crack mitts, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Holy shit, he is.
Yeah.
He's fucking legit, and he can roll around good too.
Oh yeah, when he was getting ready for Here Comes the Boom.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when he was training with Mark Delagrate, I was like, God damn, dude, he was cracking those pads.
I know. He did let me know in that one thing he did to me. You know who did that to me too? Farley. Farley, we were in the hallway at Saturday Night Live out of nowhere. Oh no, we were at a fucking hotel. And he came at me real fast, grabbed me, put me in some shit, pulled hard. I felt every part of my body crack. And then Farley laughed. And just like with Kevin, they kind of looked at you like, I could fuck you up if I wanted to.
Farley was a big dude too.
He was a big boy. He was like maybe 5'8", 5.
But he was like 5'8" wide too.
He was wide.
Yeah.
Fucking athlete though, moved nice.
Well, when he moved around on stage, when he moved around on SNL, he was fucking. That was part of the thing, is he was so explosive.
Oh yeah.
Like part of the funny in him was this fucking insane.
Yes,
but he had this explosion inside of him that could get out. I only met him once.
You did meet him?
Yeah, I met him on the set of News Radio, and he was in the middle, the throes of addiction. So he was gray like wet cardboard. It was weird. It was weird being around him. He just looked sweaty. He's like, hey, how you doing? I was like, hey, what's up?
Was he there to see Phil? Or?
He was there to see Andy Dick. Him and Andy Dick were hanging out, and I think they were both off the rails.
They were having fun.
They were having a good time.
Yeah. Fucking, that sucks. I hate it.
Well, it's horrible.
That was a good time of life, though, huh? That news radio shit.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was Spade and Phil.
No, Spade wasn't on that. Spade was on that other show, Just Shoot Me.
He was on Just Shoot, but I thought he did a couple of.
He did. Yeah, he definitely did. But you know, a lot of people did. You know.
Yeah.
A lot of people did.
Was that your first big?
Yeah, that was the first big thing. I did a small sitcom that nobody watched before that called Hardball.
What was it about?
It was a baseball show on Fox.
I think I remember that.
Like 5 or 6 episodes.
What were you on that?
I was a baseball player.
Oh, did you play baseball?
I did in high school.
Oh yeah,
a little bit until I started doing martial arts.
Right.
All sports.
Gotcha. That's cool, man. I want me to tell you, my martial arts. It's not that big of a deal, but I grew up in Manchester, New Hampshire, and a lot of guys were tough. You know, fought and shit. Fights would happen. And then I had the idea, I drove by downtown, I saw this guy, I can't remember his name, Mick something. And I fucking saw kickboxing, I was like, let me take kickboxing just in case I can fuck somebody up, because that'd be fun to have that secret weapon of kickboxing and, you know, all of a sudden be able to kick someone in the face, that'd be great. And so I talked my buddy into it, well maybe he talked me into it, but I think that, anyways, we both go, and fucking like 15 guys in there from school already doing it, already advanced, and I was like, all this did was make me realize that these guys could kick the shit out of me. I thought guys I could take. I was going, oh fuck, that guy can crush me too. I had no idea. But I'm never flexible, so I think I quit after like 4 or 5 sessions.
Flexibility is something that everybody can gain. It's just you just have to go through the process. Flexibility is not something like, there's like certain amount of explosiveness and athleticism that some people just don't possess, and it take a long time to get there. But flexibility is something that you just have to work at. I've seen very inflexible people become flexible.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What? Just by doing it every day?
Doing it every day and just sticking to a routine. You just got to force yourself past the pain,
I'm just nervous as my hamstrings are going to pop. They're so fucking tight.
You know what you should get? You ever see one of those things where it's like a strap and you put your foot into it?
Yes. Yes.
Those things are great.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Just take a yoga class.
Yeah, I know.
Go to hot yoga. That's a cheat code.
No, that's a good one.
It gets real hot in there.
Yes.
And you get a lot looser.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, my wife's good at that shit. My daughters do it. I just fucking it hurts my lower back and my hamstrings so much that I end up just going, all right, I get up and do a fake water break and just stare at them.
So how was working on this special? I saw you in Vegas. I know you did. Very funny.
Thank you, bro.
Very funny. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate it, man. I had a great time making this special. I have a great time on the road. Can't believe it. I fucking quit doing stand-up for like 20 years or something.
What made you want to get back?
I think I was doing grown-ups and Rock and Spade and Schneider and KJ were always talking about next weekend I'm going to Niagara Falls, and I'd be like, these guys are all fucking having fun on the road, and then I think Apatow was doing Carnegie Hall. He was hosting something, and he said, "You want to do some stand-up again?" And I just go, "Yeah, let me do that." And I did it just to make sure that I fucking put together 15 minutes or something. That got me back into it.
And did you just piece it together by doing small sets, or how did you write it?
I think I did a couple of improvs or something. Maybe I went to the improv a couple times, but mostly from doing Letterman. I used to do Letterman and do 2 segments. So I'd fucking sit down with my buddies, write jokes, and just go out there with jokes, and kind of trusted that, yeah, that's a good joke. And I think I started doing that with stand-up too. Just going, this is pretty good, let me just do it.
And then, when did you start booking gigs?
I did the same shit. I called a guy, this great guy whose daughter was going to school with mine. He would talk about booking acts and shit. I said, I was thinking of doing stand-up again. You want to book me some shows? And then he just booked like a 10-city tour for me, and I said, all right, I better fucking put an hour together.
Wow. So how'd you put the hour together? Did you go to the improv? Did you go to the store? Where'd you go?
A couple times at the store, improv. I would drive out of town, the valley, maybe
like the Ha-Ha.
That kind of shit. Yes. Anybody.
Flappers.
Exactly. Flappers. Flappers, good spot.
Good spot.
Shit out.
Yeah.
I just did a bunch of. Maybe I went down to the Comedy and Magic Club. Is that still running?
Yeah,
Yes, I did.
for sure.
Yes.
Beach, that's a great club.
Good. Yes, exactly. Except I remember growing up, I would always see Leno and Joe. What was it? Joe? Not. Is it Brogan? What was it?
Jimmy Brogan?
Jimmy Brogan.
Yeah, the booker.
Yeah, but he did
stand-up as well.
He did stand-up, and they were so clean, and they would fucking annihilate. And I always felt self-conscious in that place for how filthy I was. And I'd be like, these people don't want to see this.
Well, the Comedy Magic Club is like the cleanest club in the country.
That right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Miller used to book it.
Did he?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Apatow used to always go there.
Yeah, that's a great little club.
That's a good club. So I forced myself to get a good album. Now I can. When I was on the road the last tour, I have so many. I have so much shit that steps on other shit, so I can't really do it all.
Right.
Because if I already said this, so that this joke doesn't make any sense now. So, but I was fucking doing 2-hour shows, and it wasn't that big of a deal.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Yeah. Because I remember struggling to do an hour of my whole stand-up life. I'd be like, my God, how fucking the crowd's so bored with me now. I can't come up with new moves, you know. But now, got enough shit. Keep them rocking.
So how long have you been steady doing stand-up again now?
I think like 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It must feel good though, right?
It's nice.
To get back into like a real flow, like a real headliner flow again.
100%.
And
Yes.
go, oh yeah, I missed this.
I did miss it. I didn't even know I
It's
missed
the
it.
most fun.
Absolutely. You fucking were loose. That was, you set yourself up to do a live fucking special. I don't think I could handle that, man. My head be spinning way too much, man. But you,
I had to over-prepare.
But you didn't have any pauses. You just boom, 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 boom. How long were you doing that set?
Well, I did. Well, you know, because I have my own club, that helps a lot, right? So I was doing 2 shows a night, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I was doing 6 hours of stand-up a week, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was doing podcasts and all the other UFC stuff that I do. It's a lot of work.
Right.
That got to be too much. So then I knocked it down to 3 sets a week, 3 headliner sets a week, and then I would do a bunch of short sets. You know, that Bottom of the Barrel show that I told you that my friend Brian Simpson hosts, that show's the best.
Yeah.
It's like a premise factory.
Yeah.
Because you have this whiskey barrel on stage, it's filled with notes from the crowd.
Yeah.
It's all just different ridiculous ideas for premises, and you reach your hand in, you pull one out, and it's just, you know, frogs are gay. Like whatever it is. And you just start ranting about and you try to come up with bits. And you know,
land
every
on
now and
good
then
shit.
you get 1 or 2 every set that you write it down. You're like, this could be something.
That's amazing.
And a couple of them made it onto the special.
That's incredible.
Because it's like it's a premise factory.
Absolutely.
So I had a lot of material. I was getting ready to do a special in. I was gonna do one in August of 2020, but then obviously in March everything shut down, and I didn't do stand up for 8 months, and it was just. And then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I just feel like just working on my material now. I just feel like just working on stand-up and not even thinking about the special.
Yeah, that's a great feeling.
Well, it's just, I was just enjoying working at the club, owning the club, and then there's so many good guys at the club. It was just such a fucking hot spot.
Right.
And there's so many people. There's Shane Gillis and Mark Norman and Ari Shaffir and fucking Brian Simpson and Tony Hinchcliffe. It's like every night was just murderer's row.
Right,
and we were all just cooking together.
That's big.
And then when Netflix said they want to do a live special with me, at first I was like, fuck that, I don't want to do that. And I said no. I told my manager, like, no. I called her on the phone, I was like, what? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I was driving home, like, why are you scared to do that, you fucking pussy? And I was like, as I was driving home, I was like, thinking it. And then when I got home, I called her back, I go, don't say no yet. I go, let me think about it.
Yeah, I've had those feelings,
And then the next day I said, all right, I'm going to do it. And she's like, you sure? I go, yeah, I'm going to do it because I'm scared of it.
That's ballsy, man.
I was fucking terrified of it.
Of course, I'm scared thinking about doing it. I would never fucking do it. But you killed it. You killed it. You were loose. You were rolling. You crushed.
Well, I did that set in order for 3 weeks straight.
Right.
So I had it locked in for 3 weeks. I didn't do any which I always fuck around.
Yeah.
There was no fucking around.
Yeah.
No deviation.
That's
for 3
right.
weeks.
You were steady. Exactly.
I also wrote all the bits out by hand. I wrote them all out, even the ones I already knew. I wrote them all out. I wrote all the transitions out. I listened to recordings. I watched videos.
That's big, yeah.
I beat myself into the ground.
That's good.
I over-prepared.
Right.
So that when I got up there, there was no, what is next? There was no thought about...
You didn't have a beat sheet somewhere just in case you got lost?
No.
That's fucking ball. I would never be able to do that.
But I wanted to treat it like a regular show. If I had a regular show, I wouldn't have a cheat sheet.
Oh, I never did when I was young, but now I need a word. I need to look somewhere and see the word.
What do you put index cards on the stage?
No, on a monitor. I just look down
okay.
and go, it says just
popcorn.
one word, popcorn, and then
Yeah.
I'm ready. Because my head goes to space. I get spacey as I got older. When I was young, I was prepared and boom, 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 and I did my shit. And I think it helps me kind of relax a little bit, just knowing that if I'm lost, I can look down and see a word and go, yeah, do that.
Bill Maher brings one of them conductors fucking things on stage. Where they have where you put the news, the music rather.
Yeah.
He has that, and he just has his ideas written out on that.
Good.
So you just look down at it.
I get addicted to that a little too much. Sometimes in Largo, in L.A. I go up there. Flanny runs that place, and he lets me go on and try shit out. And I have a music stand, and I'll be at work all day working on movies. And then 10 minutes left to go, I go, oh yeah. And I got a couple guys in the office who help write jokes with me. And I go, let me try this, and this. And I just put the sheet down, go on stage, try shit out. Try new shit out, nothing better than a new joke.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
That's the best if it's working. Usually does work too.
Well, you're enthusiastic about it, and if you really have thought about it and prepared for it, it's like a new thing for you. So it's like this exciting new toy.
Yeah. So you can't wait to get to that or open with it or whatever.
Yeah. When you do movies, do you just come up with a premise first? Like when you decide to do a film, like if you decide to do Happy Gilmore, how do you like make your movies? How do you start?
That was this lucky premise on Billy Madison. I remember I thought, well, this could be great. A grown-up who does elementary school again. And that's a great idea of I get to be goofy, get to bully these little kids, then all of a sudden connect with these kids and have fun growing up again. So, but part of my head was like, well, Rodney did back to school already, so everyone's going to say I just ripped off back to school. Rodney went back to college. How the fuck do we kind of do it a step away from that? And I called my buddy Hurley, who I went to college with, and he writes all the movies with me. Or he's just a great, funny man, and I've written almost everything with him. And if he goes, ooh, that's good, then we usually go from there, and we try to fill it out after that. Same thing with Happy Gilmore, Wedding, Sitting Here, Bobby Boucher, all that shit. We were just like, came up with a couple of lines of what we thought as an interesting idea, and then see if we can fill it out.
It's so funny because your films get loved by the public and hated by critics. It's so hilarious. You are the lead, like whatever the Rotten Tomatoes critic score is for your films means 0. It means nothing. It's only the audience is what counts.
That's all we thought about,
Because your films are all so fun and so silly and so, in my opinion, so underappreciated.
Thank you.
Because, like, this is one of the things that I thought about during COVID. Like, we watched it every night. We watched, like, every film that you made while everything was locked down.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, my fucking, I don't know, man, we lucked out. We worked our asses off like you're working your ass off now. Like, this is took it very serious.
But you caught like a silly groove that I don't think anybody else has that silly groove like you do. Like you caught that groove with so many movies, man.
Yeah. We did. I mean, when I first started, Jim Carrey was crushing, Stiller, Mike Myers, a lot of goofy movies were getting made, and I certainly fucking love doing them. And I love being on set, making those kind of movies. I love fucking editing that shit, thinking about kids laughing. I always loved that. Thinking of college kids throwing a tape in, sitting down, watching together. That was on our mind when we did it.
When you first started out, did you want to be a comic? Did you want to be a stand-up comic, or did you always think that you wanted to do films?
I think I wanted to get into the movies. I was fucking nuts, cocky as shit in my own weird way. I think a big thing that happened to me was I told my friends in high school I was going to be fucking big. And I didn't.
So you had to?
I had to do it. I told the boys, I was like, it's going to be fucking great. And then when I would check in with them, I remember being on payphones, calling after even eating it at Catch a Rising Star. I call them, fucking did good tonight, probably. Yeah. I go, yeah. I said, what'd you say? I said, this joke fucking killed. Meanwhile, I fucking ate it every time.
So you're faking it until you made it.
I dug a hole for myself. I'm doing great. Robin Williams said I was fantastic. Robin Williams, I remember one night saw me eat it, and I was just like, man, I ate it in front of Robin Williams. But I changed the story up to like, yeah, he liked that shit.
There's something that could be very valuable about being delusional and being young.
Yes. Very delusional, so stupid.
Oh, really?
I did this.
I think
once,
later this month.
Do you know Owen Smith?
Oh,
Hilarious comedian in LA. But he had this. one of the best comics alive, but he spends a lot of time writing and doing shows.
Sure, I know.
Which I think he should be headlining arenas. He was just at my club a few months back. I saw him. He's a monster. The point is, Owen had this show that he was doing for a while where you'd find your oldest notebooks and sit down with him and go over your oldest jokes. And it was so bad. It was like a 1991 joke book. I keep them all. And I was going through, we were reading it. I was like, it's so bad. I had in like built-in heckler lines that I wrote that were terrible. And this guy was saying this to me and that. It's like,
that's so funny.
If I had to go back there and like give myself advice, I would say, you gotta quit. You're terrible.
Oh my God.
Don't do this.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
man?
don't do
You
this.
sound atrocious.
You're not gonna make it. You don't have it.
Same thing.
There's no way.
But I fucking thought I was fucking phenomenal. But I would look out at the crowd, not laughing, going, are these guys fucking nuts? They don't see how great this shit is. But it's almost like I was with my fucking giant afro, and my father would be at the table and he'd be like, you need a haircut. I'd be like, what are you talking about, man? He'd be like, you think you look good? I'd be like, I look great. He'd be like, you don't, just so you know, you don't look great. I'd be like, you are so off on that day.
It's funny, delusional thinking can sometimes carry you to the, like once you develop some skill, that delusional is like a little guardian. It like keeps you protected while you actually develop talent.
And that goes away, because I'm more nervous now. Well, I had that fucking fear as a comedian. My head would spin. When Colin Quinn, he had a club, the Paper Moon, in the city. Was the Paper Moon around when you were growing up? It was like at the Boston Comedy Club.
Like a small place like that?
I think that became, Paper Moon became the Boston.
Oh, the same club?
Yes, I think it was downstairs. That
no
one.
Shit.
So fucking Colin, like me, he used to get me on stage. I was going to college around there, and I all day long would be practicing on the elevator in my dorm. I'd be going blah, 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 saying the shit. Right when Colin would bring me up, my fucking head would spin. I'd forget where I was, not making sense. I would say two jokes, and then I'd be like, oh my God, I don't know what's coming next. And I had that going for a while, but I still would go home at night and go, fucking, I'm gonna be so fucking good at this. I don't know what it was. Psycho.
It's youthful delusion. Yeah, and it's also your central lobe is not fully formed yet. You don't even understand the world. You're just you're a little meat puppet.
My God,
Yeah, but that's how you make it. That's how you make it in kind of everything. Like you're delusional, you know?
Yes.
If you really believe in yourself, that counts for a lot. Up to a point. Because there's people that still believe in themselves. They've been doing open mics for 20 years. And nobody's stepped in to say, hey, this is never gonna happen. You have to have a spark. There's got to be a little something in there. And then you could build that little something into something special.
That's right. Same thing in sports, guys who keep going and keep trying out and keep doing something that some people break through. It's interesting, man. I definitely had an amazing time as a youngster. I had a couple of people that I locked in with. We were buddies. We all had that same thing of like, I'm good, even though it wasn't that good yet.
Yeah, I came up with Greg Fitzsimmons. Greg and I were both like confused and wondering if we're ever going to make it, and just we do a lot of road gigs together, and we were hoping, but it's the whole idea was only just to like one day you'd be a professional. That was the goal. Not really have any kind of a career, but just like one day to make a living telling jokes. That was the dream. You couldn't even imagine, like almost.
Got a
I would
milli.
see guys that were actual pros when I had a bunch of like day jobs doing construction.
Oh, you did?
Driving limos. Oh yeah, I did everything.
Oh, gotcha.
And so then I would do these nighttime gigs, and I'd meet the real pros, the guys who just made a living doing comedy. I'm like, what must that be like?
Yes, they saunter in at 9
Oh
o'clock
my
at night.
God! Yeah, they've been playing golf all day, laughing. The Kevin Knoxes, and all those guys. And I would just like, they were like heroes. Like,
of course,
you actually made it.
You're fucking badass.
Outside of the system completely. All you do is tell jokes, and people love you, and they come to see you.
And the same jokes. A lot of the guys, they were just like, "That's my act. I ain't fucking
in Boston, they never did television, so those guys had and people wanted to go see those same jokes again, which is crazy.
Yes.
Like Steve Sweeney, Did you ever see Sweeney when he was in his prime?
Absolute best, biggest destruction too. Yeah.
Oh my God, Steve Sweeney in his prime would light up a room.
Yeah.
And with Boston accent and Boston material, you couldn't follow him.
No.
He was a monster.
I think he went on the very first night I went on at Stitches.
Sure.
That was the first place my brother brought me to Stitches. He was going to BU. He got me one of those 5-minute open mics.
That was the first place I ever did too.
Stitches?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
How'd you do?
Yeah, I got a couple of chuckles.
You did.
It was like enough to where I was
How
like,
old were you?
maybe 21.
21.
Yeah. I was like, maybe something. And the second time I got some laughs.
That's
second time I was like
incredible.
less nervous.
Wow.
And like I listened to my I had a little tape recorder that I brought with me, and I recorded it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
How about that humiliation of the silence on the
It was
recorder?
terrible. But it also made me realize like what was wrong, like just because I was studying it like kind of the way I study martial arts. Like if you would watch films of fights, and then I would I'd go, oh, there was a little bit of a timing problem there, and this I could have done this, I could have done that.
Yes.
And so with my second time I did stand up, I had the humiliation of listening to the first cassette. So I listened to that, I was like, let me tighten this up, and maybe this could be a little better.
Oh my God, tighten it
Write
up
a little
bit.
more there. But I got some laughs the second time, which was like crazy. I was like, wow, I might be able to do this.
Shit, man. Both at Stitches.
Yeah. And then I think I bombed the third time, and that was the first real bomb. And I was like,
Punch in the face. Fucking scary. Yes.
But every time I bombed, I feel like it taught me something, and then I would get better.
Fucking, I ate it last year. Last summer. I went up to the comic strip and fucking ate it for 10 straight minutes. I went, oh shit, I forgot about that. Forgot about that punch in the face. That was a roughie.
I ran into you at the airport, and you were telling me you just did some fucking horrific corporate event.
I ate it there too. Oh, that was. I mean, if I listened to the tape, I'd say you were okay, but it was humiliating.
Yeah, you had just gotten done with it when I ran into you.
So I was shell shocked. I remember seeing you and your wife. Yeah. I had that fucking glazed look.
Those corporate gigs are so. Ron White just ate it at one recently. He goes, I don't know why the fuck I agreed to do that.
I know.
He goes, they just came. I said no, and they said more, and I said no, and then they came up with a number. I was like, all right.
Holy shit, buddy.
Yeah.
Same fucking story from it.
Those are death.
I don't think I.
Those things are death because the people that are there, they're working with all these people, so they're all like kind of tight.
Yeah, they got shit going on. Yeah.
And they're not really thinking about the comedy show. They're thinking about this is like a social environment with all the people. They're working their way up the corporate ladder, and they're concentrating on all their shit. And they can't laugh at anything inappropriate.
Oh, that's
and like,
true,
I saw Mike over there laughing at all those sexist jokes. Mike's a real piece of shit.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true, man. That's good. I swear to God, I felt bad for them. I was like, Jesus, they paid me so much. I fucking feel terrible. I didn't kill for it, but it happened.
Yeah, Hinchcliffe just did one recently too. He said the same thing. I'm like, that's why I don't do those. It's not do comedy where people come to see comedy, and that's it. Don't get hired for a birthday party. Get the fuck out of here with that.
It was the only fucking reason I did it was Paul McCartney did it the year before. So they go, well, they don't do this much. I went, Paul McCartney. Well, fuck, I'm doing that shit.
Yeah, but Paul McCartney can just play his songs.
I know, man.
And like his songs are great. They're classics.
He's not gonna miss.
He's not gonna miss.
No,
he's just gonna play it. And if they don't respond, that's on them.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you fucking nuts. You
just did Band on the Run. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
I know, man. That's good.
Yeah, like musicians, they can always just get into their songs.
Oh, shocking.
They don't
They
need
can
your
close their eyes. They don't need nothing. They don't look around.
They don't need you.
We're fucking looking at everybody. That fucking dude's not loving it. God damn it. I know.
We rely so much on other people's response.
But the moments I don't, those are the ones I was saying to you, Joe. And I've eaten it before, but still felt I did good because I fucking remained kind of confident, and believing in my shit still. But the ones where I look out, I see them hating me, and I go, yeah, why am I here, man? That's a bad feeling.
It's a terrible feeling. I say bombing on stage is like sucking 1,000 dicks in front of your mother. But
Yeah,
the problem is, it's probably worse than that, because somewhere out there's probably a guy who wouldn't mind sucking 1,000 dicks in front of his mom.
Yeah,
You know, he'd be like, look at me, mom. Look
You
at
you
bitch.
made
You made me. 99, let's go.
My mother would 100% at the end say, you could have done it better.
Yeah.
You could have sucked him hard. Why did you stop on that one man? He wanted to explode in your face, and you stopped. You stopped. I feel bad. You should call him and tell him you'll suck his dick. But yeah, I'm with you, buddy. Yeah, stand up. Stand up's the best.
It's a crazy thing, and then no one can teach you how to do it either. You have to figure it out yourself, because your way of doing it is different than my way of doing it. My way is different than Kevin's way.
Yeah.
Kevin's way is different than fucking Seinfeld's way. Everybody's got a different way of doing it. And nobody can teach you how to do it. You can learn some things from watching other people. You can learn some things.
Oh, man.
But
how about when somebody fucking great watches you and says, hey, you know what you could say here, and gives you a great line, you're like, oh my God.
Yes. No, that's huge.
That what a feeling. You just made my okay thing into a fucking one I'm excited to do.
Oh, yeah. There's been a couple of bits that I've had that got a tag from a friend. It's just like pops it up.
Oh, you're like, how did I ever do it without that fucking line?
Yeah. Sometimes like a fresh eye, you know? That's one of the things that I always admired about how Chris Rock used to do it. Because Chris Rock would go on stage, he'd work his stuff out, and then he'd have a bunch of guys that he would hire to sit in the back of the room and kind of workshop with him.
I do similar stuff.
Very
I
smart.
have these young guys who are fucking way funnier at writing than me. Only because I'm fucking tired. I'm tired. I walk into the office and I'm like, I thought of this funny thing last night. Maybe something there. I'll say it to them and they'll go, oh yeah, and they'll fucking write something interesting, and we come up with something together eventually.
Well, you're used to collaborating when you do films, right?
Yes. I always do that. Always got a bunch of guys that help me out throughout the whole movie. Yeah.
That's such a good process.
Yes.
Because, you know, one mind is great, but a bunch of minds together in different perspectives, people are going to see things from an angle that you're not going to see.
Yes, that's exciting. Same shit. Somebody comes up with a great thing to do in a scene or a line, or maybe you can be doing this at the same time, or an action, whatever the fuck it is. I mean, me and Hurley, when we write these things, we think a lot what it's going to look like, what's going on in each scene, and what the jokes are, that kind of shit. But on the day, you definitely having a couple of buddies around making it better is the way to go.
Well, you always have a very tight ship too. Like doing Zookeeper with you, and like and talking with Kevin. Like you work with the same people pretty much every film.
Yeah.
Which is really huge.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it's always, you have a very family environment. Like it's always family.
Yeah.
Everybody's fun. They're all. Everybody likes working together.
Yeah.
No one's an asshole.
Yeah.
It's an easy gig in that sense. That like you know you're gonna come to work with people. Yeah. Everybody's having fun.
Kevin got that going. You got that going.
Yeah, you have to have that. That's gigantic.
You got like a lot of great stand-up friends, all right? When you do the road, you just bring your guys with you. When you guys, like, how many of you go up on stage when you take gigs on the road?
If I do a gig, I bring usually one guy who's a beginner, and then two guys who are headliners.
And how much time does everybody do?
It depends. Like when I did the live special, I brought this kid Ari Matty, who's hilarious.
Yeah.
Ari did 10 minutes. Well, he did 15 minutes the first night, but on the live night he did 10 minutes. So 10 minutes to warm the crowd up. And then he brings on Ron White. Ron White murders for 15. And then he brings on Tony. Tony murders for 15.
Wow.
And then I go on after that.
You're fucking tough to do that to yourself. Put on big, heavy hitters, because that can get you in a hole sometimes too. People are crushing so hard.
As long as you're having fun, it doesn't, because
No,
the audience is
absolutely.
having a good time.
Yes.
My philosophy is I don't want bad comedians to go in front of me. I want people to kill.
Yes.
So that when I go on stage, everyone's having a great time.
Yes.
They don't ever feel like, oh, they made that one guy for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
oh my God, when was he going to get off stage?
No.
Because there's some comedians that like to do that. They like to bring in terrible acts so they look like a hero.
No, that's bad. That's bad.
It's bad for the
bad
audience.
For your audience. Bad for your own brain. You just you're getting lazy.
You're getting lazy. It's a soft way to approach it. So like when I do shows at the club, sometimes I'm going on stage an hour and a half into the show. And it's like, Brian Simpson, Shane Gillis, Mark Norman. It's like killer after killer are going up.
Yeah.
And then I'm going up late. So you got, it's like running with weights on. Like you gotta like come out of the gate hot. You know.
Dude, when I first came back to stand up, I was bringing all my buddies, and they were killing so. It was good crowds, so everybody would stay up. You know, everyone's like, I know I was gonna do 15, let me do 25. And so by the time I got up there, I was following like 6 or 7 guys murdering. And it was fucking 2 hours in, and then I was supposed to do an hour and a half, and that I'd be like, I'm not kidding. I mean,
that's too much.
That's too much.
You wear the audience out. Yeah. I feel like when a show gets over 2 hours, 2.5 hours, it's like, I don't want to see a 3-hour movie.
No.
Yeah, if I'm gonna watch a 3-hour movie, I'm gonna be at home. Okay, where I can pause.
Yeah.
If I have to take a leak,
Go eat.
go have some popcorn. I want to like for 3 hours sitting in some auditorium somewhere watching a show.
That's a lot.
It's gotta be a banger of a show.
Oh,
where
man.
You're so engaged when you walk out. You're like, wow.
How about that feeling when you know, holy shit, this arena, I'm losing him for about 5 minutes. Let me fucking get him back. How about that? When you see people who started the show off with like, yeah, and then they're kind of like tuned out, going, what is happening right now?
Yeah. People only have a certain amount of attention span.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I admire bands that still like. I saw Guns N' Roses in Greece.
Yeah.
And they do 3 hours.
New shit? Or just
all the classics.
Yeah.
All the classics. You know, Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine. But they fucking go hard for 3 hours. Those guys are 100 years old. They're still killing it.
He's singing 3 hours. Axl's ripping it for 3 hours.
Yes. Same with the Stones. I saw the Stones a couple years ago at CODA, the Circuit of the Americas here in town. And it was insane. Mick Jagger's 1,000 years old. And he's still fucking moving. But no limp, baby. He's still fucking dancing and all that energy.
Yes. It's funny, they do like, Stones do 2 a week or something.
Yeah.
That's a really funny shit, because when we go on the road, it's like 5 or 6.
That's the way to do it, though, when you're 80.
Yes.
You know, you need recovery.
Yes.
And also, Mick Jagger works out every single day. He has 2 trailers filled with gym equipment.
Wow, yeah.
2 of the trailers when they travel with the Stones is just Mick Jagger's gym equipment.
What a fucking stud, a light little body. That guy looks like he weighs 120 or something.
Looks like 120. He's ripped still. He's ripped, 80 years old, got a 6-pack.
Got the veiny arms ready.
Fucking ready to go. And still has his pipes. Still can sing. And Keith Richards could still play. It was incredible. Watching them live, I couldn't even believe they were there. It was one of those things where, like, I was almost like I felt like I was on drugs. I was like, am I really seeing the Rolling Stones? Are they actually there? Like, I could throw a rock and I could hit Mick Jagger with a rock. He's right there.
I know. And then how exciting, like, when Keith and Ron look at each other and laugh.
Yeah. They're still enjoying it. Like, when we were kids, there were no old rock stars.
Right, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
They didn't.
Elvis.
He was already dead.
Right,
You know, he died in the 70s, right? So he was already dead. And so when we were kids, we thought of rock stars as like Van Halen. Young, wild people on stage jumping around. That's a young man's game. No one ever anticipated 80-year-old rock stars singing rock and roll in their 80s.
By the way, I heard David Lee on your show.
Yeah, he's been on a couple times.
Man, I mean, that band, me, when I was in high school, I think I was in 9th grade the first time I fucking heard him. I was into Sabbath. My brother got me into Sabbath. And then I was walking up to a fucking party. It was like one of my first house keg parties. And Van Halen was blaring over somebody's Pioneer system. And fucking, like, Ain't Talking About Love or some shit. And I remember just going, what? This is the greatest shit I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah. They were the kings in the 80s, dude. They were the kings. When I was in high school, everybody knew how to make that Van Halen logo in the notebook.
Yeah, the notebook. It was either VH, Queen,
AC/DC,
Zeppelin, AC/DC.
Kiss. Yeah. They were the kings. They were the kings. But, you know, we never thought they'd be still doing it.
No, that's right. And then you'd see Van Halen the last few years live, and you'd fucking be still as excited.
Yeah.
It still looks smooth as shit. I saw it with David Lee Roth maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
He's such a character, man.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, he doesn't have a phone. He doesn't even keep money on him. I went to dinner with him, and he has a lady that drops him off with me, and she's like his handler. And she says, I have her number. She has my number. She's like, call me if anything goes wrong.
Right.
You know, and just you're hanging out with David Lee Roth, having dinner with him.
I love him talking about fighting with you, and because you love him throwing those crazy roundhouse kicks.
Oh yeah, he was a real martial artist.
Yeah.
He used to train with Benny Urquidez.
That's right.
Yeah. He used to do those things on stage where he'd do like a jumping split kick in the middle of the air.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, look at him.
Yeah.
He was a real athlete, man.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a stud. Fucking sweet dick on him right there. But Dave, look at that guy.
Look at the picture where he's got his pants hanging down.
Yeah, just enough to show a little hip
What
bone.
is that? Showing some dick root. He's a character, man. Still to this day, he's out to lunch, man.
He'll say some interesting shit. He's smart, knows his shit. Whatever he's into, he's deep into it.
That guy moved to Japan to train kendo, which is a sword fighting art.
Right.
Just him and his dog.
Yeah.
Lived in an apartment in Japan for like years. Just training kendo.
I fucking anytime you heard that they weren't getting along, you were just like,
Yeah.
fucking.
You know how that goes, though.
Yeah. Oh, anytime it was 4 fucking people, too much shit's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, especially those egos and bands, and then girlfriends don't like that guy, and then
Right. Yeah, that shit happens.
It's like Valerie Bertinelli apparently didn't get along with David Lee Roth, and
okay, that's gonna be
that's how it goes. It's hard for bands to stick together, you know. I think that's way harder.
I remember you two would always in interviews talk about how cool it is that they're still a rock band together.
Yeah.
4 of them loving each other.
If you can get a band that enjoys each other's company, that's a fucking tremendous asset. Because so many bands, like I was just reading today, that Pete Townsend doesn't talk to the rest of the guys in the Who. He doesn't talk to Roger Daltrey. They don't talk to each other.
Wow.
Like how?
That's funny, man. I just saw them. I just saw the Who at a benefit, and they fucking destroyed. It was Daltrey's benefit, and he brought the Who on there, and I think drummer was maybe Ringo's kid, and if I remember, or it's either Ringo's kid or John Bonham's kid. Anyways, it was great. But Pete and Roger were funny as shit, ragging on each other and saying quick little insults, and it was like massive laughs, like a comedian. But then they fucking have those hits that just take your whole body over, and it was great.
Yeah, I don't know where they stand now or why they stand that way, but I was just reading an article this morning.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That they don't talk to each other.
Makes sense. Like I remember hearing Sabbath on tour would fucking all show up in different planes.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if any of it's true, but you're like, fucking Tony Iommi and Ozzy don't fucking hang out the whole time. Like,
well, there's always a problem in a band where the lead singer becomes the #1 guy, and everybody else is kind of secondary. You know?
That's gonna make you pissed.
The band's called Van Halen, but the main guy's David Lee Roth.
Right.
That's the guy everybody wants. Ain't talking about love.
Man,
you know?
badass.
Yeah. Oh my God, Hot for Teacher. He was the man. And so, like, I could see how egos and feathers would get ruffled, and then the girlfriend on the side, like, you know, the band's named Van Halen. It's not named B. Roth.
Yeah. Definitely. That's
Fuck
gonna
that
happen.
guy.
Fuck that guy, and then you got to stand behind it. You know, all the groupies. Yeah, man. Well, but they had some. Him and Eddie both had the different people would talk about who's the greatest. Be like David Lee Roth was just the smoothest and funniest and fucking
One of the greatest frontmen of all time. For sure.
He was like a stand-up.
Yeah.
Dominated the crowd, just like I think there was some tape going around with remember some shit just like that's okay, man, because after the show I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend. I don't know, maybe that was David Lee Roth or somebody else, but as a kid you were like, oh my God, fucking what? That's the coolest shit ever. But then I remember Eddie Van Halen when Jump came out the video and seeing him smile and throw down that fucking lead, he was just like, is that the coolest fuck on the planet? With like overalls.
Oh yeah.
No shirt over. I went with the fucking no shirt overalls move one time.
Really?
Didn't go over.
On stage?
Didn't get the respect. Not as a stand-up, but thought I was gonna get more respect. But I was on stage. at a battle of the bands. I used to sing and play guitar in a band, and I went.
Come get me!
My mom tie-dyed my overalls and shit, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I showed up, and people were making too much eye contact with me, not wanting to look down at the fucking overalls.
It's a bold choice.
It was one I couldn't make now.
One of the funniest choices is what if you look back at like the metal days, like you look back at like all the guys who dressed up like gay bikers.
Right.
It's from Judas Priest. It's Rob Halford tricked everybody into dressing like a gay biker.
Yeah.
Because he was gay.
I loved it,
So he's like leather pants and the fucking leather biker helmet on and the vest with no shirt on underneath.
Yeah.
And all these guys started dressing like that.
Yes.
And they didn't even understand that they had been tricked into dressing like a gay biker.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's a great one, man.
I saw so them, cool.
I saw them at fucking Radio City with Iron Maiden.
Really?
That was big.
Wow.
I was up in the balcony screaming, I want to dress like you. That was
yeah, look at
the
him,
boy.
man.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude.
Fucking the hellion. Wow. They were nasty. That's a tough looking guy.
Another thing coming.
Yeah, it was
Look at him there with his fucking crazy outfits.
Yeah.
It's just so funny, all the different styles of bands that existed.
Oh man, I had fucking leather pants. I wore fake leather pants for a bit. I didn't know my body wasn't great. So I was like, throw that shit on, you look like a rock star. Then I'd fucking see the pictures that my mom took of me after. I looked back and be like, how the fuck did you let me out wearing that shit? It never fit just right. I never had the body for it. Like I would walk into a clothing store growing up. There was a place, you know, Sarah Silverman, comedian.
Sure, yeah, I know Sarah.
She grew up in same town as me, and her parents had a store called Junior Dale, I believe, and it was downtown. They sold Levi jeans and all that shit. And I remember just going, okay, I'm gonna get some cool ass Levi's, go to school, look like a badass. And I remember when I saw a three-way mirror, I was like, you're not fitting me like I thought. You know, I don't look as cool in my Levi's as I thought I was.
You had an idea of your image.
I saw other people wearing that shit going, all right, I'm gonna dress like that guy, but it didn't reflect the same when I had it on.
Again, youthful delusion.
Delusion, yeah.
Did you want to be in a band before you wanted to be a comic?
Wanted that for sure.
What kind of music did you guys sing?
We did a lot of Aerosmith, a lot of Van Halen, a lot of Sabbath, Zeppelin.
Aerosmith just
get
canceled
bored. $363 million damage.
Where he fell and broke one of the bones in his neck.
Yeah.
And apparently he just can't sing.
Open his mouth to sing it.
They were planning on doing a thing with the Black Crowes, and
wow.
Yeah, and they just, for whatever reason, decided to put the tour out and get going, and then he started and he was like, I can't do it anymore.
That
I'm done.
is painful.
Yeah.
Man, because the guy's whole life was that. And by the way, did you like Aerosmith growing up?
Loved them.
They were the bad boys that every tune was nasty.
Oh,
That shit
yeah.
was the nastiest.
Push that microphone up to your face. Sir.
Sorry, bro.
No worries.
And I loved. My band played literally like 10 Aerosmith tunes. We'd always fucking play kind of cool ones, not the massive hits, but the Mama Kins and the Walking the Dog and kind of cool shit like that.
Well, we both grew up in New England, and they were the kings.
They were the kings of New England.
They were the kings.
Yes.
That was they were the fucking
WAAF.
Look at that. Yeah. AAF. Fuck yeah.
Joe Perry. Yeah.
BCN.
Yeah. BCN, AAF. What was the kind of alternative?
Tyler. He was the fucking man.
Could hit every fucking note. How about the fact that I read something that he's a cool bastard, and I met him, and they're all great guys.
Joe Perry, he's a great guy too.
Fucking best. That's a New England accent too on Joe Perry.
Oh yeah.
It's funny to hear the boys talk. I think somebody lived in New Hampshire. Maybe Steven Tyler lived in New Hampshire because that's where I grew up, and they definitely they owned New Hampshire.
Well, they were the kings of Boston. Like they were fucking gigantic. I remember the controversy when they did that duet. They did that song with Run DMC when they did Walk This Way.
What the fuck?
I know. Everybody's like, what's going on?
That don't make no sense. I know.
Meanwhile, that's a fucking great song.
That was
You go
what
listen to it now.
fucking Aerosmith came back.
Yeah.
Like they became the Kings again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that was their big comeback song. They're kind of faded for a while.
Yeah.
And then Walk This Way came along, and
That
it's
was
like
great.
young people started getting into them again.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's funny how bands like they get, like generational, right? Even though they're great, like that's the people that listened in the '70s. Fuck those people.
Yeah.
Now we listen to this.
Yeah.
And then all it takes is one thing, and then people start going through the catalog, and like, Jesus Christ,
holy
these guys
shit.
are incredible.
Same. I was doing who the fuck was I listening? I play a lot of the old shit for my kids, and then all of a sudden you just go, wow, they had so many
bangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the young drug-taking days.
Yeah.
The wild Aerosmith days.
The first three albums kind of shit, like Zeppelin too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a different world.
Yeah.
Every comic wants to be a rock star, and I think most rock stars want to be comics.
Yeah, there's some of that too.
There's something about the freedom of comedy that they appreciate.
Yes.
You don't have a band. You don't need anybody. All you need is a microphone. You don't have sound guys. You don't have anybody.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That's my biggest mistake is I fucking use music in my act, so I gotta. My piano player, Dan Bula, he's the best. I love having him being together on the road, looking back, and we laugh together. That's the greatest part. But the back in the day when I just had a mic and didn't have to show up with shit, and that really makes life easy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
When I would do these big places like the TD Garden, like one of the things that would strike me is like, we're just showing up. There's no trucks. There's no it's just a stage.
Right.
And me and three of my buddies, and that's it.
Yeah.
And 16,000 people. But bands play here, and they have fucking trucks and shit.
I know.
All these people have to break down the stage. They're there. All the fucking pyrotechnics and all the crazy shit these guys have.
Right. I know. We're cool. We did good. It chose the right career.
For us. Yeah.
Until you watch a rock band, you go, they're kicking our ass, man.
It's definitely something different. Rock is kind of like a drug. There's something about going to see a band that's really good. It's like the music hits your body.
Yeah, it overwhelms you.
Yeah, like a drug.
Yeah, for sure. The right tune fucks you up. So I agree. Who were like some of your first concerts as a kid in Boston?
First concert I saw was Jay Giles' band.
You did?
Yeah.
That's with Peter Wolf and fucking that's as cool as it gets.
Yeah, back in the Centerfold days.
Aerosmith and Jay Giles, you can battle for the Kings in Boston back then.
Jay Giles was the fucking man when I was in high school.
Yeah.
See him. I saw George Thorogood.
There you go.
Johnny Winter. I saw a bunch of bands.
Where'd you see him in?
I don't remember. I wish I could remember.
I used to go to Worcester.
Sure, Worcester Coliseum.
Centrum,
Is that what it was? The Centrum?
I think so. Yeah.
Then I got a job when I was 19. I worked at Great Woods.
You did?
Yeah.
Fucking, I played there. What a feeling that was.
Yeah.
Because we saw so many shows growing up.
I saw a lot of comics there too. When I saw some comics there when I got paid.
Yeah.
And then some comics there I paid to see them.
Right.
Like I saw Kinnison there. I paid to see
You
Kinnison.
did?
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was. I saw Cosby there. I saw Rodney there when I was working.
There you go.
Rodney was backstage naked with a bathrobe on.
Yeah, that's a big Rodney.
That was the Rodney days, the bathrobe days.
Okay, baby. Yeah.
He would go on stage with a bathrobe just to make him feel comfortable. He just was completely naked with a bathrobe on and just murdering.
Oh, the best.
And this was before I'd even thought about doing stand-up. I was 19.
Fuck, man.
But I got to see...
you saw Kinnison. Kinnison always dressed badass.
Yeah.
Like a rock star.
Yeah.
He fucking had the big long leather coat on and a beret.
That was just after I'd heard about Kinnison, too.
Yeah.
I had heard about Kinnison from a girl that I was working with. I was working at, besides doing security guard work, I was working at the Boston Athletic Club in South Boston.
Wow, yeah.
So I was a
That's
trainer.
still there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think they got a fucking basketball court there.
Yeah, they got basketball.
Yeah.
There was a lot of racquetball there. A lot of people. I met Bobby Orr there.
You did? That's cool.
I had to help Bobby Orr because Bobby Orr had like fucking 150 knee surgeries, right?
Yeah.
His knees were destroyed, and you'd
Yeah.
have to help him get on the VersaClimber machine.
Oh my goodness.
Bobby's knees didn't bend.
Right.
Bobby's knees bended like this much.
Right.
He had like 12 inches of movement in his knees. And so you'd have to like kind of help him get on the VersaClimber machine.
Wow.
I mean, one of the greatest athletes of all time. You watch him play racquetball, and you would just kind of fall over.
Yeah.
Because you know,
Oh,
back
they
then.
put it all out there. Yeah.
Also, the knee surgeries back then were archaic.
Right.
They were so primitive. They just used staples and fucking screws.
Oh
and
man,
they
right.
didn't know what
That's
they were
you
doing.
see a certain age, you see different scars on guys.
Oh, his knees. That's Bobby's knees.
Oh,
Yeah. His knees were destroyed.
That sucks, man. Man,
Yeah.
what a hero. What a stud.
Yeah.
Always loved him.
He had 20 knee surgeries. Fucking insane.
Was that your
Yeah.
team, the Bruins?
I didn't really watch sports.
You didn't, oh yeah, you didn't.
No. Once I got into martial arts, I really didn't care about any
That's
sports.
pretty cool, man. That you didn't, because I know that's the biggest sport town.
Oh, it was a huge sport town. Everybody called me a pussy because I didn't know anything about football, basketball, baseball. I didn't care.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's pretty good that you had your own thought process going. I would join right in with trying to make the other kids like me, dropping something.
well, when I was 15, I just became obsessed with martial arts.
That's
And
great.
I didn't care about anything else. I literally didn't care about anything else. I'd watch basketball. I'd be like, this is nonsense. Who cares if that ball goes in that hole?
Fucking
That
cool,
doesn't
man.
mean anything to
My
me.
dad always told me to do that shit. He'd be like, do martial arts, and I, like I said, I went to this guy's like, God, I wish I knew his name, and I did that, and then I think a little earlier, I just my body, man, I wasn't meant for it.
It's not for everybody.
No, it's good though.
But that's like everything in life. There's things that are not for you.
Yeah.
You just got to find the thing that is for you.
Yeah, I found a few, and that's all I do. Hoop, comedy, that's it.
Perfect. That's all you
I
need
got.
for a
That's all I
happy
got.
life.
Yeah, I guess so.
So this girl I used to work with, she was like a volleyball player, and she was really hilarious. And she was working at the front desk, and she was like, "Oh my God, I saw this guy." This is 1986. Is when Kinnison had his HBO special, and she told me about it. She's like, "There's this guy, and his name is Sam Kinnison." And she know that bit he did about homosexual necrophiliacs paying money to spend a few hours undisturbed with the freshest male corpses. Remember that bit?
I kind of.
So she told me about this bit. We're hanging out in the parking lot of the Boston Athletic Club, and this girl is lying down on her stomach on the ground, and she's like, "Oh, you mean life keeps fucking you in the ass even after you're dead? It never ends." And I was laughing so hard.
Wow, yeah.
And I remember, like, this girl, just her doing Kinnison's bit made me go to the video store to get a VHS of Kinnison's special. Because the first time I saw it, it came out on video.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, I was like, oh my God. And that was like the first seed in my head where I was like, okay, this is comedy too?
Yeah,
Because I didn't know that was comedy. I thought comedy was like something I really liked, but it was so different than me.
Yeah.
It was nothing that I would ever do.
Right.
It was just different. It was like I didn't see myself that way, but I saw that guy. I'm like, that guy's a fucking animal.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
he
this
was
is
tough as shit. Yeah.
this is a different kind of comedy, and that was like the first seeds in my head that I had of doing comedy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then I got to see him live at Great Woods. But I saw Bon Jovi there. I saw everybody. I quit the night Neil Young was there, and they had a riot.
Really?
Yeah.
In New England, huh?
Well, the lawn. You know how Mansfield, Great Woods has that lawn out there? Well, it was cold out, and people were starting fires on the lawn. And so they were like starting these little bonfires, and we had to break up the fires. And then brawls started breaking out.
Wow, yeah.
And I always knew that this job was like, what did you get paid, like $20 an hour? I'm not gonna fight somebody for $20 an hour. This is crazy. So I always carried a hoodie with me. And so I had my security shirt, and then as soon as shit would go south, I put the hoodie on, like, I'm out of here.
Oh,
and that's what I did. That night, I quit.
Oh, yeah.
I quit the night.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, yeah. It costs $20 to get in a full-on brawl.
Yeah, there was brawls breaking out left and right. The first night I was there, I watched one of the security guys beat this guy with a walkie-talkie. And I was like, Jesus, what did I sign up for? This is a crazy job. So, because some guy had stole one of the golf carts, and there was this dude named Alley Cat who was the head of security there. And Alley Cat tackled this guy, and he's beating him in the head with the walkie-talkie.
Wow, man.
And I was like, whoa, okay, what did I sign up for?
Did you get in fights after you learned your shit? Like,
No.
No, that's cool.
No, No, and I avoided them all.
That's amazing.
I'm not interested in fight. I would like fights where they were planned. You know,
Like meeting a guy in...
No.
Oh, you mean in
no,
a
like,
fucking...
like tournaments and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, that's cool.
Kickboxing matches. I did a lot of those, but those to me made sense. Like fighting on the street, it's like, no. Like people have guns, people have knives.
right,
This is fucking stupid.
Sure.
I was always nervous.
Yeah.
Like I never felt like you get in a fight with someone and someone hits you in the back of the head with a bat. Also, if you fight someone, that's never the end. Like they're gonna go get their cousins, they're gonna get their brother, they're gonna try to find you when you're alone. Like
That's true.
You don't want that kind of problem in your life. Just move on.
Oh, it's so easy to just take whatever they're throwing at you with, like, that's supposed to start the fight, just being going, yeah, okay, that makes sense. You're right. I am a piece of shit. I'm gonna I better get out of here now.
Well, it all means nothing. Someone says it only means something to you if you believe them.
Yes.
You know, if someone says you're a pussy, you're like, okay. Like, what does that mean? This doesn't mean anything. You're just saying words. Until you try to hit me, this is nonsense. It's like, oh, you have a bad opinion of me? Oh, that's okay. Like, I don't really care. Like, I was tired all the time because I was training like 6-7 days a week. So I was like, I don't want to be involved in this stupid shit.
Right, yeah.
And
I already worked out today. I can't fight you.
Also, I was very aware of the consequences of violence. I'd seen, by the time I was 21 years old, I'd probably seen 40 or 50 people get knocked unconscious.
Right.
At least.
What a terrible sight that
Probably
is.
a lot more than that. I see so many people snore. You know, just on the ground twitching and snoring. I'd seen so much of that.
Yeah.
I grew up with that. So it's like, to me, I was like, I don't want none of that in my life. I don't want to have anything to do with this. Especially outside of fighting.
Yeah.
Concrete floors and shit.
Head hitting the ground. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
KJ worked with a guy in Long Island when KJ was a bouncer.
Right.
And this guy killed a guy. He punched a guy, and the guy fell, hit his head, and died. And now the guy has to go to jail. Now you're working as a bouncer, just like I was working as a security guard in Great Woods. Like, you could have gotten in a fight, hit someone. Now you're in jail.
Yeah.
And you're like, for what?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's so cool. You worked at Great Woods, so that's like what a destination to go to and see so many great fucking bands. And you know, it's funny. You said Kinnison. I used to be on MTV when I was young, and we'd go to Daytona Beach.
You were on remote control.
I was on remote control. That's right. Quinn got me on there, and it was the best. But we went to spring break, Daytona Beach, and Kinnison was at the height. And I went to, it was the first guy I saw at an arena. Kinnison and some other bad boys. There were some guys, I forget their names, but they all...
Probably Carl LeBeau.
Yeah, Carl LeBeau, right? And a couple other guys. They're all kind of really funny, tough bastards.
The Outlaws of Comedy.
That's it. That's right. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. And I saw Kinnison destroy. And then it was like, I saw Rodney at a theater in Florida where it felt like fucking... Holy shit, this is a rock show, because it was bam, bam, bam.
Yeah,
crowd going nuts. Rodney.
Rapid fire, like a machine gun.
Hey, the best, Rodney would crush for like 8 minutes and then go, I know a lot of fucking jokes, baby, and they go, you know, that was so cool, man. But Kinnison, too, just took over. I saw him in the moment. It was amazing.
Yeah, I got to see Kinnison decline, too. I got to see the decline because I saw him a couple of times live. And the last time I saw him live, it was in New Hampshire, and there was not that many people there. I drove to this theater with this girl that I was dating. I was probably 20 at the time. Again, it was before I did comedy. And he was just, it was already like boozing heavy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as good.
Right.
He peaked in 86. I feel like Kinnison from 86 is probably one of the greatest comedians that ever lived, if not the best. He was a monster. Yeah. But the guy was doing blow and drinking and hanging out with rock stars and just partying. And his brother wrote about it. Did you ever read his brother's book? Brother Sam?
Right.
His brother Bill.
It.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
It's a great book. If you're a fan of stand-up, I tell anybody, go buy that book because it's a great book. And Bill said that you could see the drop-off in Sam's material because he just stopped writing. He wasn't hungry anymore. He had made it. Instead, you know, because there's this hunger inside of him to make it as a comedian, and that's what led him to be outrageous and do all those jokes about like the starving kids in Africa and all these different jokes he did that were just so outrageous, and that preacher's voice and that fucking powerful delivery.
Yeah.
But then when he made it, man, he got real fat and just drinking every night.
Yeah, he was
started wearing the bandana,
slower,
bandana days, the rock star days.
Sure.
It just dropped off. It wasn't the same. It was like a caricature of Kinnison.
That's funny. It just happens. It happens that when you're drinking or doing whatever the fuck it was. I got Coke. Yeah, sure.
I think that's the one that really like.
Well, that makes you not think straight. You're definitely all over the place. You fucking you can't stay steady with a thought.
Yeah.
And but I remember I met him a couple times. Paulie was very tight with him.
Yeah.
And I knew Paulie. I hung out with Kinnison a couple times, but I saw him at the Improv the last time I saw him, and he was a little. He was so sweet. Like, he was so nice to me, and he remembered that we hung a little bit. You know, I was a young fucking dummy, and he was nice to me, and he had that kind of glazed, had a few too many in the eyes, but he was just, he definitely was. When he walked into the fucking Improv that night, every comedian's like, well, holy shit, there he is, the fucking man.
Right.
You know, it was cool.
He changed comedy. He really did, because there was no comedy like that before Kinnison came out. He was a different kind of comedy. It was like all of a sudden comedy was like, you could yell. You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God, that was the biggest
force. He was just like, and the preacher's voice, that thing that he had, where he had that charisma of being this tent revival preacher.
Yes. And when he would talk quiet, and then all of a sudden blast the shit out.
Oh my God. And he was a legend at the store. You know, when I got to the store goes through these eras, right? And when I got to the store, it was '94, and the Kinnison era had ended. He died, and then there was this big drop off. Like, the store was kind of vacant when I got there in '94. It was weird. Like, the shows would be half empty. And
Yeah. They were having problems with it. Yeah.
But they all had these stories. All the guys like Harris, Pete, and the guys that were still around, they'd all have these stories about when Kinnison was there.
Yeah.
He would perform at midnight, and around 11:30, all these rock stars would start showing up, and movie stars.
Right,
And they would all go there to see Kinnison. And so he had the midnight spot.
Fucking cool.
And they would all go, and I remember thinking, imagine people coming to the Comedy Store just to see you. That must be so insane.
That's fucking cool as fuck.
Oh, it was the coolest because it was all just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is like '84-ish. Before he popped, everybody just knew about him.
Come on, Secret Garden.
I remember Chris was in Vegas, and I went to see him with Nicholson and Jim Brooks.
Wow.
And we were sitting there, and fucking Nicholson was laughing his ass off. And I had that thought you just had. I was just going, fucking Rock is so cool.
Right.
That people fucking fly an hour, like, where is he? Let me go see him. They sit back and laugh. And I fucking just going, shit, Rock, you really are fucking stud, man.
Oh, yeah. The Bring the Pain days, Bigger and Blacker and Bring the Pain, two of the greatest specials of all time.
Unbelievable.
Of all time. Flawless.
Yeah, he's a badass. I talked to Rock yesterday, just for like 10 minutes or something, and we got really excited about stand-up again. I go, you writing? He goes, kind of like he can't stop. When he was doing his tour, he's like, I need a break, blah, blah, blah. He just did like a fucking year on the road or something.
Right.
Shit. And then he's right back to like, got some ideas.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. Take a little break and just refresh your mind so you're not running stale. You know, 'cause he did a live special too.
His live special was I loved it.
Yeah, and it was also like the build-up because of getting slapped by Will Smith and all that crazy shit.
Yeah.
I think that was like the best thing that ever happened to him, because then he became like wild again. Like his stand-up was like outrageous. Like it was like the Rock of old.
That night was like watching the fucking Super Bowl. He was just like, what? It's a live event? Holy fuck, what the fuck? And then he was a badass, and I think he had some white shit on, and he looked cool as fuck, and you were waiting for him to talk about it, and he got to it, and he got fucking excited.
Well, he didn't talk about it for a while on stage. Like, he would tell people, if you think I'm going to talk about it, I'm not.
Yeah.
He wanted to be ready, and he wanted to really think about what he was going to say. and how to say it.
That's because of where we are in life, where anything you say is fucking on the internet the next day. So he's like, I gotta be careful and not blow this shit up. And
Also,
say
they
it
would
right.
ruin the bits.
Yeah.
Because people would just tell the bits, and then it wasn't even ready yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you have a life-changing event like getting slapped at the Oscars, in this most preposterous scenario, the whole thing was preposterous.
Yeah.
I think for him it was also a wake-up call, like, hey, these motherfuckers don't really care about me.
In that moment,
they didn't protect me. Nobody stopped it. He went back and sat down, and then he got an award afterwards. He got a standing ovation. What the fuck is going on here?
Fucking weird.
Yeah, because you always want to be that guy who's hosting the Oscars and who's starring in the big movies, and that's what everybody wanted. Everybody wanted to be the big movie star. But then you realize, like, well, these people are fuckers. You know, like, what did you do? How did you set this up? How come nobody tackled him?
That
like,
was a fucking weird moment.
Oh,
the
weirdest. It's like a guy just showing his ass. Like, you just pulled your pants down, showed the world your ass. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
He probably doesn't. He probably wakes up in the middle of the night, going, "Why did I do that?"
That whole thing sucks. Yes,
beyond. It was almost like a guy who doesn't know how normal people act, thinking this is what you're supposed to do. Go smack that guy.
It became fucking just went to a place that he couldn't get out of.
Yeah.
And started it.
And still there. He's still there. In everybody's mind, when you see Will Smith, oh, he slapped Chris Rock. That's like, not I Am Legend, not Muhammad Ali, not insanely good movies. The guy's an incredible actor.
Absolutely,
He's been in so many banger movies. He's a fucking blockbuster movie star. And people see him, they go, oh, he slapped Chris Rock. Fuck that guy.
Fucking sucks. God damn it.
Terrible.
It sucks, man. It fucking, it follows you around. It sucks. But my man, Rock and the Kinnisons, like, and that shit, when you spread it, that happens like once every fucking 8 years or something, where somebody becomes this shit.
Yeah, every now and then someone pops through, and it elevates all of us.
Yes.
Everybody that gets to see it, they go, oh my God, I want to be better. I want to write more.
Yeah.
When I used to see Chris at the store, whenever Chris would come in and he'd do a set, I'd watch and I'd be like, oh my God. I remember one time I was fucking in the back of the room, and this comic stood in front, like, while I was watching Chris. He's like, dude, I gotta get on your podcast. I'm like, you gotta get the fuck away from me. I'm watching Chris Rock. Like, why are you watching Chris Rock? He's one of the greats, and he's on stage right now. And you're talking to me.
Holy shit.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's so funny, man.
That guy's never been on my podcast to this day.
Oh,
I'm like, get out of here.
You ruined the moment.
Get the fuck out of here.
Dude, Rock is never wasted a fucking minute on stage. Always trying shit out. Always either notebook or just trying to remember or whatever. Never fucking got tense with the crowd. Just like, they're not liking this, but I'm liking it, so I'm gonna keep going.
Well, he would do this thing where he would go on stage and he would just have raw premises. And he was so comfortable with total silence.
Yes.
Where it wasn't going well, and then he would catch fire and then start killing.
Yeah, man.
And then they're like, oh, it is Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And then it would go right back. He was like using them as like a sounding board.
You're right.
And he would tell them, like, I'm practicing.
Yeah.
You know, this ain't good. I remember one time he went on, somebody fucking killed. And he went on, and the first thing he said, hold on, relax. It ain't going to be that funny.
All right.
They told him.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be that
calm
funny.
down. Exactly.
Like, I'm working on some shit.
Yeah.
But that's how you develop a monster hour. You have to start off with building a structure.
Yeah,
and
man.
Get a foundation.
Yeah, you fucking, even your first night of the tour, by the last night, you go, now that's my act now.
Yeah.
The friends who saw you the first 2 nights, you're like, fuck, I wish you would have seen me fucking.
Right.
A couple weeks later, I figured out that bit.
Yeah, you don't want anybody to see you when you're doing a workout set. Like, get the fuck out.
Oh, man.
This is a workout set. Like, this could be terrible. This could end badly.
Especially when a buddy sees you eat it like that. What a feeling.
Yeah. There's no dismount here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's interesting how those guys, like a guy like Rock or Kinnison or Louis or anybody who's just like really killing it.
Yeah.
It elevates everybody around you.
Yeah, man.
Everybody gets a little better because of that, because you get inspired.
I think Rock was on stage and just killed one time, and I remember Jon Stewart, who was probably 24 at the time. I think I was like 18 or 20 or whatever our age difference is. John Stewart goes, I don't want. I quit. I don't want to. Like he's just like, God damn, that's good, man.
Well, you know, that's what Eric Clapton said when he saw Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
He saw Jimi Hendrix. He's like, what am I doing? What the fuck am I doing?
You
Why
feel
am I
like a
even doing
phony
this?
after you see that great shit. Yeah.
Well, especially a guy like Hendrix that comes along and he's doing something completely different than everybody else.
Man.
Everybody else is playing guitar. They're all great.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this guy comes on.
Oh, my goodness. I know. Oh, that was a nasty one. Yeah.
When I work with Phil Hartman, he told me a story when he was 18 years old. He worked at the Whiskey. And his job was they had those stage monitors, and sometimes the stage monitors, the artists would accidentally kick them and they would go into the crowd. So his job was this, because they were, you ever been to the Whiskey?
Yeah, sure.
Small stage, right? Not that big.
Yeah.
And so when he'd have to stand there, like, to be prepared to like catch the speaker. And Hendrix was right there, like where you are to me. Hendrix was, and he was 18 years old. And he goes, dude, it was insane.
That's so funny.
He goes,
man.
because Phil could play a little guitar too, but he was watching. He's like, I'm watching literally the greatest guitarist of all time, and he's 3 feet away from me.
That's fucking cool, man.
Insane.
And then Phil did all the album covers and shit. Remember he used to do the
I have
artwork?
one of them out here. One of them framed. Yeah.
Oh man.
One of his album covers. He did a bunch. He's a great artist. He was a very interesting guy.
Oh yeah.
He could
knew
do
a
so
lot of
many
shit.
different things.
Yes.
And he studied. So he made me feel like such a fraud, because he would study his lines and he would have like little post-it tabs, little different colored ones for different scenes, and he have notes and all these different things, and he would like prepare for me. He'd be preparing the mirror, like
Yes.
And I was like, God.
No, he was the pro for sure.
Such a pro with everything.
I know, man.
Like when we were doing the show, he was getting his pilot's license. So like every day in between scenes, he'd be like reading these pilot's manuals.
Yeah,
he was just like so
a real
dedicated
man
to something.
Yeah. I lived in the same apartment building when I was on SNL as Phil.
Oh wow!
So I'd see it. We'd go up on the elevators together and talk about shit. I was, of course, he was older, so you were just excited that he'd be talking to you.
Yeah.
He was a cool motherfucker. Yeah.
I remember the first day on the set of News Radio. Oh my God, I can't believe he was really there.
Yes.
I was like looking over across the table, doing the table read, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how did I get on this fucking show? I had zero acting. Like I did this one.
How'd you get it?
It's the craziest story. The whole thing's crazy. I did MTV half-hour comedy hour, right?
Right.
You do like whatever, 5-7 minutes.
That was,
whatever
who
that
was
is.
the host? Joyner?
Yeah, Mario Joyner.
Yeah.
So I did MTV half-hour comedy hour. I got a development deal out of nowhere.
Wow.
For MTV.
That's big.
MTV was offering me a development deal, and then my manager started saying it was very little money. It was like $500, and they were going to lock me up for like 3 years. It was crazy low money. It was so stupid.
But you would join.
But I was like thinking about
you
doing
want me?
it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I was thinking about doing it because this is like after Remote Control, and they'd made Dennis Leary famous. and
Yes.
They had decided they were going to lock people up to deals now because
Yes.
Leary got famous off that, and then he took off and then kind of went away from MTV.
I see. Yeah.
So they had decided that they were going to lock up talent. So,
Right.
So if I did this pilot, if the pilot got picked up, I would have been there. So my manager said, he said, I have an idea. And so he decided to send my MTV tape out to all these studios and say, this guy's about to sign a development deal for MTV, locked up, but he's still available. So then I started getting all these phone, like people would call my apartment. I was at home like, hello? And like, hi, this is blah, blah, blah from Universal. We want to get you on a plane right now to Los Angeles. I was like, what?
Wow.
So I called my manager, I called Sussy, and I was like, hey, dude, these fucking people are calling my apartment. He goes, don't answer your phone. He goes, go to the pool hall, don't answer the phone. And he goes, just leave it all to me. And so within like 3 weeks, I had this crazy deal for like $150,000, which is the most money I'd ever even heard of in my life. And all of a sudden, I was in Hollywood, like out of nowhere.
So
I was
who
on
was the deal with, like CBS? Or?
It was with Disney.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy because I was filthy.
Right, yeah. Like they would.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I have a deal with Disney, and I'm on this
for that much
Fox
money.
sitcom. And so I had to get acting lessons, so I took a few acting lessons. And I hated it. I was like, this is gross.
Yeah.
And then, but I knew how to just pretend. I'm like, I pretend on stage. I'll just pretend. Like, sitcom acting is pretty easy.
Right.
And so all of a sudden I'm on this sitcom. It gets canceled, and I'm like, oh, I was thinking about moving back to New York, but I was like, I hated LA. I hated being around actors. You couldn't joke around with them. They were all so sensitive.
Right.
Everyone was on pills. They were all on antidepressants. I was like, get
Wow.
me out of here. I can't deal with it. I want to go back to comics.
Yeah.
And so I was ready to move back to New York, but I had got this fucking apartment. I thought that the sitcom was going to go. So I got a lease on this beautiful apartment in North Hollywood. I had a loft and a pool table. I thought I was balling.
Yeah.
You know, I was making like 20 grand a week. I was like, this is amazing.
Fucking big, yeah.
It's crazy. I was like, I'm rich.
Yeah.
So I got this apartment. I'm like, well, I have this apartment. I can't just leave the apartment. What the fuck do I do? And so then I got another development deal. And then, so I'd done 2 auditions in my entire life. One of them was Hardball, got that show. The other one was News Radio, I got that show.
That's fucking
It
crazy.
made no sense. Made no sense. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting across from Phil Hartman. I'm like, this is crazy.
That's a biggie.
I had full
And that show
imposter
fucking
syndrome.
kept going for a while. News Radio was big.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't? I thought it was. Isn't that Brillstein Gray?
Yeah, it wasn't big until after it was canceled.
Oh, I see.
And then it went into syndication.
How many years did it?
5 years.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but it became
Syndication, I got you.
really big in syndication.
I see.
4 years or 5? I think we did 5 years. We did like 98 shows, which
Who
is like,
else was on? I forget all this.
Maura Tierney. She was
right.
Dave Foley, amazing.
That's right.
Andy Dick.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Farley, through Andy. And then Candy Alexander, she was awesome. Vicki Lewis, he was awesome. Stephen Root, amazing.
All right.
So it was a great cast. And I felt like a fraud. I was like, all these people have like background in theater and background in films, and movies and TV shows, and I was just like,
yes,
dirty.
Phil made everybody feel that way. Everybody was kind of like, well, he's the next level. But
he was the next level, and he was so good. Him and Stephen Root was so good too. He was the only one that wasn't even himself. Everybody else was just being a version of Stephen Root, and he was a different human.
Yeah,
like he was a sweet, normal guy, and then he would play Jimmy James, and he would just fall into this character.
Yes.
He had a character just like when he was in Office Space.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, so it was
he's worshipped too. Yeah,
it was bizarre being on that show because I was 26, 27 when I was on the show, and I was sitting.
Big money, wow.
But it was also confusing. I felt like such an imposter. I was like, someone's gonna figure out that I don't belong here.
That's funny.
And then I'm gonna have to go get a job.
That's nice though. That's a good. That's a good person to be feeling like that. I think I was a cocky fuck who was like, they figured it out. I'm here. But I literally didn't get shit growing up. I auditioned for shit and never got. Nobody liked me.
Really?
Every audition they would just like. I would talk to my agent after and be like, nervously asking what they say, and then they'd have to be, well, did you read the sides before? I'd be like, what do you mean? That's what they said? Of course I read the sides. They were like, I thought you didn't know it that well. I go, what? I thought I knew it real well. They didn't like it. They think that you're. They would use words to kind of be gentle with me, but just say you're not ready yet.
Well, it's funny how you have confidence when you're young and you really do think that you're ready. Like, I remember thinking that, like, at open mic nights. Like, you'd see someone on stage and they would bomb. Like, God, I wish I could go up there.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
I would bomb too. Like,
yeah, of course. Yes. Or watching another actor and you go, when you were young and you see someone your age on a show and you'd be like, what's with what? I could fucking crush this shit. And then you realize, looking back, that kind of was pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Well, News Radio was fortunate because I got to play like a more retarded version of myself. It was like basically like into a lot of conspiracy theories and weird and delusional. It was like a version of me. So the writers were very
Did they
smart.
know that? They were writing it that way? I see.
Figured me out after a while and started writing stuff in.
That's funny.
I would talk to them about fucking UFO projects.
Wow,
that were
man.
Top secret shit. And then they put all that kind of stuff in the script.
That's
cool. Because I was into stupid things. It was fascinating.
You got into that shit real young.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was...
Alone in your head, or you had somebody who brought it up to you and you started going with that?
Well, with conspiracies, a friend of mine who was in a band gave me a book once when I was on the road, and it was a book called Best Evidence by this guy, David Lifton. It's all about the Kennedy assassination. He's like, you got to read this. The government killed Kennedy. I was like, what? I remember reading this book, going, what the fuck? I read this book. It was just really funny. And I went on stage after I read it and bombed. And I apologized to the club owner. Look, man, I'm funnier than that. I read this
My
fucking
mind
book,
wasn't right.
and they're like, don't read it tomorrow. I promise I'm not going to read it tomorrow. Tomorrow night I kill. killed the next night because I put the book down. I said, "You gotta be." I didn't bomb terrible, but it was flat. It wasn't good. I was in a weird headspace.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ, they killed the president.
Yeah.
I was like, this is nuts.
That's funny, man. Wow. It fucked you up.
It fucked me up, and then it got me down this conspiracy spiral. So I started questioning things.
Yeah.
It's like, what else don't I know?
Wow.
And I started reading about all kinds of different things that I didn't know.
That's fucking amazing.
I read this book called The Strange Death of Vince Foster. It's all Vince Foster, a guy who worked with Clinton, who got murdered in very. They said it was a suicide. He had the gun in his hand. There was less blood at the crime scene than was missing from his body. It seemed like his body had been transported to the crime scene.
Wow.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Those things will fuck you up.
Fascinating shit. Yeah.
If you get involved in reading books like that, and you get. Your head gets filled with that kind of shit.
Quinn was like that too. Quinn read a lot of shit, and he would tell me to read stuff. And I remember he knew a lot about crazy mass murderers and shit. And I would start going, "What happened?" And he would tell me these things. And I remember telling my dad some of the shit Quinn told me about. I don't remember who, but I'd be like, "And then this guy, blah blah blah, and Ted Bundy, and this and that." And my father started getting like, "Is my son a fucking nerd? Why is he talking so much about murderers so much?"
Joey Diaz gave me this book called Murder Machine once, and it's about Roy DeMeo. You know who Roy DeMeo was?
I'm not sure.
He was a serial killer who worked for the mob, and he would kill people. Like, they had a bar downstairs, and they had an apartment upstairs. He would kill people and then cut them up in the bathtub upstairs.
Yeah.
And just killed a bunch of fucking people. It's a horrific book.
Right.
And I remember reading that, going, Jesus fucking, just knowing that there's people like that out there in the world.
Oh my God.
And you just get in the wrong fucking place at the wrong
guy
time.
shows up at your house. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah.
Wow. It was just like, those things are terrible to read before you go on stage, though.
Fucks your brain up. That's so funny that you ate it because of that book, man.
Oh yeah, I've eaten it a couple times because I did the wrong thing before I went on stage. One time I had a gig in New Jersey, and it was a college, and it was a weird place to get to. It was back in the day before navigation, so they would give you the directions over the phone, like go to 405 to get off this exit. So they give me the directions, and I get there. I leave early because they tell me it's really hard to get to, and I get there about a half hour early. But it was hard to get. I was like, Jesus Christ, this place is hard to find. Yeah. And I was working with JB Smoot.
Wow.
And JB was supposed to open, and I was supposed to close. And they said, JB's not here yet, so why don't you just relax in the rec room and sit down, and we'll tell you when the show's going to start.
It's an increase of more than $4 billion in just 4 years.
So familiar with that first day here in New Orleans, where the heat sort of just hits you in the face. But that's okay. And I want to thank the press for being here, because without your being here, you give people hope, because they're going to hear amazing things that you're doing here at Tulane. And
What's
that will
Biden
give
announcing?
People at home, people that read the newspapers online, that will give them hope. So thank you for being here. You know, it's great to be back in New Orleans, where scientists and researchers are at the forefront in this fight against cancer. And whenever I meet with cancer researchers and scientists, one thing always stands out. It's their relentless optimism. They hear words like never and think, maybe not yet, but one day soon. As president, Joe has invested in that resolve, because that's what turns into the miracle that patients and their families are praying for. Of all the things that cancer steals from us, strength, mobility, comfort, time is the cruelest. For every night spent in the hospital, there's a lost chance to learn maybe the key ingredient in a secret family recipe. For every repeat operation to cut out more cancerous tissue, there's a missed moment to show our kids how to bait a fishing hook on a hot summer day by the lake. Patients and their families don't have time to spare. Joe created ARPA-H, the Advanced Research Projects Agency for Health, to invest in the most innovative research research that the government wasn't funding before. And it was too risky for the private sector, but could be life-changing and life-saving. And ARPA-H doesn't just fund those projects. It puts them on this fast track to reach patients, answering hopeful prayers, and delivering more of that precious gift of time. Cancer touches us all. When Joe and I lost our son to brain cancer, we decided to turn our pain into purpose. We wanted to help families like ours so that they won't have to experience this terrible loss. And as president, Joe has brought his own relentless optimism to the Biden Cancer Moonshot, to end cancer as we know it. It's ambitious, but it's also within
Why is
our
Jill
reach.
Biden doing all the talking?
Maybe not yet, but one day soon, very soon, because of the people in this room, including Dr. Quincy Brown. Dr. Quincy Brown has taken the question, what if surgeries were performed flawlessly the first time? And he's answering it with cutting-edge solutions that reclaim time and reignite hope for patients and their families. So I give you Dr. Brown.
Thank you all, Mr. President, Dr. Biden, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, and family. On behalf of our research team, I would like to personally extend my sincerest gratitude for your presence here today. It is one of the greatest honors of my life to be asked to stand before you. Today, we are embarking on a new project as part of the ARPA-H Precision Surgical Interventions Program, along with other several amazing teams from around the country. Together, we will be tirelessly working to transform cancer surgery as we know it for every American. Many of us know, either personally or through a friend or family member, the fear and anxiety that precedes the cancer surgery, wondering, will the surgeon be able to remove all the tumor? It's a hard job, one which is made harder by the fact that there are no good technologies that can help them to determine during the surgery whether it's been successful, but rather days later, when it is too late to change the surgery. This often means that patients have to come back for another surgery or harmful procedure, and extends the chance and the worry that their cancer will come back. Cancer is hard enough. We should at least be able to give surgeons and patients the peace of mind and positive health benefits of a successful surgery every day. That is the goal our team is working toward, and the one that has motivated much of my career efforts for the past 18 years. Mr. President, 8 years ago, just across town, at the Convention Center, I was in the audience at the annual American Association for Cancer Research meeting when you gave an inspiring speech soon after the announcement of your cancer moonshot. So I'm a lifelong space geek, and so I love the idea of a moonshot for cancer. In that speech, you talked to medical doctors, scientists, and engineers involved in the fight against cancer. You talked about the need to realign the incentives for how we approach this fight, about how we should be working together, not against one another. That's why your creation of ARPA-H is so significant. The model of ARPA-H is to give researchers an impossible task and to make them imagine the possible by putting together teams from academia, industry, regulatory science, human-centered design, and government, and then giving them the resources to succeed in areas where progress has stalled. I was born in a small farming community in North Louisiana, Columbia, Louisiana. I am so impressed that the mission of ARPA-H is to develop life-saving technologies that can work in rural or community settings, and baking that into the process for every American. Not only in this program do we have to develop amazing new technology, we have to deploy it in 2 rural hospitals. So we can't do it. This is close to home, and it inspires our team to keep it done. Mr. President, I want to thank you both for doing what you said you would do, for your commitment, for fighting against cancer, for making this amazing program possible, so that every American will not have to worry about whether their cancer is United States of America, Mr. Joseph R. Biden.
Let to crank this up.
Please, thank you. Thank you. Please. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Brown, for the generous introduction and your incredible cancer research. And thank you, Congressman Carter, who couldn't be here today because his wife is getting promoted to Major General in the United States Army. Pin down those 2 stars on Air Force One. She's now going to You know, the fact is that you're an incredible family, as all of you are. It's great to meet so many of my old friends. Cedric Richmond, who has been my buddy for a long time. When Cedric tells you something he doesn't, he knows how to do it, and he's a loyal friend, and I appreciate Cedric. One thing I like better than Cedric, he has a son named Cedric. You should see this kid. He's going to be president. Mitch Lander, another key member of my team. The former Senator Mary Lander. Mary, God love you. Great to see you. And John Breaux, a former colleague of mine and a guy, whenever he said he'd do it, he got it done. There's John. Along with former Governor John Bell Edwards. Members of my White House team, Director Office of Management and Budget, Shalonda Young is a Louisiana girl, and she runs the show my way. She controls all the money. She secured funding for everything we're doing. And I have a Director of Science and Technology, Arthi. Where are you, Arthi? There you are. She's smart as hell. As well as Renee, who leads the ARPA-H and transformative work we're doing here and going to talk about today. And Danielle, who leads our Danielle, where are you? Danielle, who leads our Cancer Moonshot. Who was with me when I launched the Moonshot when I was Vice President of the United States. I made the case to President at that time. I was Vice President, President Obama, and I convinced him to give me the authority to do this Cancer Moonshot, which he did completely, and I had to run the administration to do whatever I needed to do. But I wanted to also thank President Fitz for welcoming us back. I knew when he was up at Penn, on the other side of the ledger, law. He was the dean of the law school. It's an honor to be back at Tulane without having to pay tuition, by the way. You all think I'm kidding. Every time a kid or a grandchild or child or grandchild graduates, it's a pay raise, man. Our daughter Ashley graduated from Tulane here in 2003 and had a great experience, and now she's working with in Philadelphia as a social worker, working with abused women. Folks, it's fair to say one of the most devastating words anyone can hear, and it's not hyperbole, is cancer. You walk into a doc's office with your child and or yourself, and you get a diagnosis of cancer. How many of you heard that when you walked in? It's frightening. It's frightening. But I'm convinced.
I agree.
I've been convinced. My neurosurgeon, when I had a couple cranial aneurysms that I had to take care of, 9-hour operations, he said to me, trying to explain to me whether aneurysms are congenital or environmental. And I said, I don't care, just get it done. And he looked at me and said, you know what your problem is? I was a senator. He said, you're a congenital optimist. And I am. I'm a congenital optimist about what America can do. In 2016, President Obama gave me the authority to start this Cancer Moonshot. To that end, I traveled the country and the world, going to every major cancer research center in the world, from Australia to Ireland, visiting the world's top cancer institutes. In fact, Jill and I came to New Orleans for a cancer roundtable with your nurses, social workers, and caregivers and researchers. And what amazed me when I visited a foreign country and spoke to heads of state about coming, they didn't just talk about it, John. After I said, what did you learn? They want to know about cancer. Everybody does. They asked me whether this moonshot would work. So one of the biggest things I found out is that there wasn't a information sharing going on. As we travel all through the world, I find one area that showed me that
Hey Google,
we shared it.
set a timer for 36 minutes.
Imagine applying artificial intelligence to identify existing drugs and target scientific mutations. Imagine clinical trials and bring innovation. Nationwide data system allows us to learn from the experience of more patients, more docs, and more. Breaks down the foundation of SNAP.
Easy enough.
Surgery happens, and you have to wait a week before you see it. Then anxiety waiting, the unknown, excruciating. Today, we're stepping into waiting. Today, we're announcing that other people need our help. Some patients couldn't get cancer research. Other people are admitted to their We just met with one of your research teams and we saw 3D views of tumors. Incredible. Roadmap. Doctors can follow during surgery, unlike anything they've seen before. And right now, surgeons determine how to remove cancerous cells and protect vital organs above this. Clear view.
Of course, I got the rarest thing right out the gate.
We'll get these tools into the operating room to visualize tumors right away instead of having to wait for days and weeks to maybe reopen the patient to go back in. It's a promising step to reduce the need for follow-up surgeries and improve treatments. Outcomes are better all across the board. Because we know all families touched by cancers are in a race against time. It's all part of our goal of our cancer moonshot to end cancer as we know it, even cure some cancers. We're mobilizing the whole of country effort to cut American cancer deaths in half by 2025 years and boost support for patients and their families. I'm confident in our capacity to do that. I know we can, but it's not just personal. It's about what's possible. This is on top of administration investing more than $25 billion. No. We've been able to get money, $25 billion in the National Cancer Institute. It's an increase of more than $4 billion in just 4 years. That investment is supporting everything from next generation cancer science innovation, cutting edge research in cancer disparities, also focusing on the defense-line community facing disproportionate cancer. Some areas facing 15 to 20% higher rates, like Cancer Alley here in Louisiana, or equally as dangerous, Route 9 in the United States of the highest cancer research. You heard me say it over and over. America can be defined by one word. I spent a lot of time with Xi Jinping. Tape everything we say. I spent over 80 hours with Malone, over 17,000 miles in China. He asked me to define America. I said yes. We believe anything's possible. Anything we set our mind to is possible. We are the land of possibilities. That's who we are. that's what you're doing here at Tulane. There's still more to do, but we know we can do it. Except for maybe New York, the United States of America.
I don't know what I don't have on him. Oh, wait. What? Oh, that counts as one?
Nothing we beyond our capacity to work together. It's all about working together and sharing data, sharing information. We're going to be moving off from here to other places as well. Before these announcements. Mrs. Landry is one of the finest women I've ever known in my life. I love you. Give me a praise. Thank you. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Holy moly, why do I keep dying? What is happening? This is all my fault on this one.
Go somewhere where you had to show your ID and people are like, you could see that look on your like, oh, paradise address. We took what was an already expanding area and we filled it with thousands of people. So I think that there was a lot of anger and uncertainty from even people who lived here. How do you go back to somewhere that you've known that you know is never going to be the same? Half of our street burned and the other half didn't. All of our neighbors were gone. I didn't want to bring them back up there and have them have to deal with that every day. It just seemed like too much, like they'd already, their little brains had been through enough.
My kids are forever changed because of this. Our oldest Hunter picking a college, and he is staying away from certain areas because of natural disasters. That's crazy to me. So I think it definitely has affected all three of my kids. My daughter, in terms of, you know, the world that she's growing up in, I wanted her to grow up in a town that had stuff, but also in a small enough town that she knew everyone. And that was ripped from her.
I wouldn't say I have a lot of the friends that CIT. There are people I'd like to be friends with, but I feel like I have to be there a little more to start fitting in more.
There's winners and losers, but right now we're kicking the can. We're not having these difficult conversations because no politician wants to stand up and say, you know what, community, it's not going to be possible or desirable or even really technically capable of having you live in place in where you live now. The long-term implications are that you have less wealth and less accrual of capital in these communities. And what does that really mean? That means small businesses get hit hard, employers get hit hard, supply chains. And it really can reverberate in terms of long-term accrual of wealth in these communities, not just as they recover, but their capacity to thrive going forward.
There was recently a study done by Harvard which showed that they expect the home values of homes that are on higher ground in Miami specifically to rise much more quickly than those on the waterfront. Now you would think waterfront homes, those are the most expensive. Everybody wants to live by the water, but they predict that as sea level rise starts to create more and more flooding, you have more and more disasters, that people will start to move those expensive homes to higher ground and therefore inflate values. And in fact, some investors are now buying that higher ground land at cheaper prices because they expect home values there to rise.
I guess if I wanted to play a victim, I could. If I wanted to feel sorry for myself that I've had so many flood claims, I guess that's just the cost of living in Florida. Living on Miami Beach, you pick and choose. If I wanted to.
Okay, now this is just getting weird. Friday is the deadline that is supposedly set for Iran to attack Israel. It's a convenient time because it would still be about a week before our second carrier strike group gets into the CENTCOM region, Central Command region, to help Israel defend against Iran. Now, what's going on that's kind of weird about all this timing? Well, in addition to the 16th being before we get some more weaponry over there, that is the United States, Thursday, there's supposed to be a hostage and ceasefire negotiation. Blinken was supposed to go there. That's the U.S. Secretary of State. And as of this morning, he was traveling to Israel to prepare for this negotiation. Well, now we just heard that Secretary of State Blinken is now delaying his trip due to, quote, uncertainty about the situation. At the same time, Lebanon is evacuating prisoners in the southern portion of Lebanon, as well as Beirut, out of concerns for war with Israel. And Hamas has just thrown in the towel and said, JK, we're not going to negotiate a ceasefire deal with you, and we're not going to participate in a ceasefire deal on Thursday. This all comes after Iran is like, hey, you know, maybe everything will be okay. If y'all can work out a good ceasefire deal, we won't strike Israel. But now, with Blinken not going to show up for the negotiation, Hamas doesn't want to show up for the negotiation, and I know it's just one particular source, but at least the New York Times is now saying that Bibi Netanyahu has apparently added more demands to ceasefire negotiation deals in recent weeks, making it now potentially even harder to reach a deal in the first place. Now, Israel denies this and says, fake news, New York Times fake news, we didn't change anything. But other people are suggesting that Israel has some big incentives for not striking a ceasefire deal. Because some say Israel actually wants to be attacked because they want the United States to be looped in to defend Israel, and they want the United States to attack Iran. Now, Iran is nervous because, according to the Wall Street Journal editorial board, they might be close to a nuclear bomb. And the last thing Iran wants is to lose all their progress by having the United States strike Iran with some form of bunker busters and destroy their nuclear enrichment program, which, of course, they say they're not doing, but according to veteran nuclear inspector David Albrecht and Sarah Buchard at the Institute for Science and International Security, Iran has been increasing its enrichment of uranium and has bettered its position to produce a nuclear weapon not only over the last 2 years, but dramatically in just the last 2 weeks, potentially getting close to the breakout point for a bomb, which they suggest we might be unable to detect. Now, obviously, Israel doesn't want their nuclear program to be attacked because it gives them clout. The bigger bomb, Iran, right? The bigger bomb Iran has, the more power they have to negotiate in the region.
We have a big bomb.
Make
Need
a
some
better
ammo.
deal with Gaza, Israel, whatever, right? This is an opportunity for Iran to sort of flaunt how powerful it is if it is a nuclear power, and it is a way to potentially deter U.S. strikes on Iranian land. Of course, unless Iran attacks Israel, and this expands into a multi-day war, just like Donald Trump alluded to, that could potentially overwhelm Israel's Iron Dome. We basically, with Israel, counterattack Iran at Iranian land. Now, this is how you could potentially escalate into a World War III, because obviously you could get Russia and China and North Korea involved, potentially on the side of Iran, which would be very bad. This is what Donald Trump alludes to. Or we could try to strike preemptively, kind of like a Top Gun, some of those nuclear enrichment facilities. None of this is really good. And it's also very obvious that Iran does not like Donald Trump. Iran, really frankly, and this has been reported by many publications, fears the return of Trump. It's one of the reasons why U.S. spy agencies suggest that Iran is interfering with our election process by running fake propaganda websites, leaving fake propaganda comments to manipulate people's outcomes or beliefs, and potentially is going as far as directly hacking Donald Trump, or maybe they were even involved in DDoSing X last night for that interview with Donald Trump. Who knows? That's just an allegation at this point. But we do continue to see reporting that our spy agencies see Iran trying to join with our election. And we know that they don't like Donald Trump. This was clear. Even Donald Trump himself mentioned that he was the one that basically made Iran broke by starving other countries of oil waivers that they were able to use to buy oil from Iran. When those were removed, they were no longer able to buy from Iran if they wanted anything to do with the United States, and that made Iran poor and sad. Anyway, so the culmination of all of this could end up being that there'll be a deal reached. After all, Joe Biden today was asked, and he's like, hey, if we reach a ceasefire deal, Iran is not expected to attack. Great, that would be wonderful. We don't want a World War III. It's just bad for everyone, because that would lead markets to fall. Markets falling could lead to pushing us into layoffs to clean up corporate earnings, which could end up leading into recessionary concerns and fears. These are all really big issues. So, we don't want that. Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't potentially position yourself with a long portfolio that has hedges, but you don't want to go to war. Now, we do have some other catalysts tomorrow, like, for example, we have CPI that comes out. The question is, will the ex-services hotness from the PPI report this morning that we covered on the Meet Kevin Market Open Live channel, will that carry over to CPI? Maybe not, but some of the PPI numbers this morning came in low because of trade services. Coming in basically, you know, trade services basically being some of the reason for, how should I say, for some of the low reads. In other words, when you strip out trade services, you end up getting substantially higher reads of inflation that end up annualizing to 3.6 to 4.8%, which isn't good. And there's some really low expectations for inflation tomorrow. I mean, we'll see what happens, but out of 66 economists surveyed on Wall Street for the CPI core, 63 of them are expecting a 0.2 handle or lower on the month over month, which really sets everybody up to thinking, oh, CPI will be fine tomorrow. Might set up a large downside risk if we end up missing. At the same time, you've got Fed Bostic saying, hey, we need a little bit more data. It would be really bad if we cut rates and then had to raise them again. If the economy evolves as expected, there would, I expect, be a rate cut by the end of the year, suggests Bostic. So pretty benign read here, but again, a lot of these economic catalysts sort of hinge on the back of what's going to happen with Israel. Because if we end up getting war in the Middle East that expands significantly and people start getting nervous or they spend even less than what Home Depot reported today, which is, you know, consumers having this quote-unquote deferral mindset, that is having the ability to spend, but they're deferring spending because they're nervous about the economy or the election or whatever, then earnings go down, job loss goes up, and you're in a recession. So again, we're in a messy, precarious time. In fairness, though, the stock market has pretty much been straight up for about a week now, which is a good thing for the broader market. You kind of don't want markets to sell off because it hurts everything you're doing. Business ideas you have, startup ideas you have, household wealth, whatever. But we really bottomed out there on the 5th, and after that it was 6, 7, 8, 9, and then obviously we have a weekend, 12, and today have pretty much all been green. And yes, we did have a couple red candles here, 1% on the Qs here, and that was a 0.22% day. So really, big deal. You had one red day over the last week, but it's been up. Hopefully that can continue for a long portfolio. I personally am hedged for a CPI miss. Now, I actually don't think inflation is a big problem. I don't think that inflation is going to skyrocket away. But I also recognize that the stock market is really weird. All it takes is one bad report or one bad thing happening, and the markets freak out and everybody hits the sell button. Combine that with how much CTA positioning there is to offload stocks if stocks start rotating up, which they have been, should create some selling pressure. Again, selling pressure though, stock market going down, bad for the long portfolio, good for hedges, and obviously vice versa. So now the question is, what's CPI going to be tomorrow? We'll see. But we've got big catalysts. Tomorrow CPI, I'll cover it live at 5:30 in the morning, California time. Then Thursday is negotiation and ceasefire day, as well as retail sales,
We're a
BABA,
bunch of
and
losers.
export and import prices, as well as Walmart earnings. And then on Friday, you get University of Michigan sentiment. So we've got a lot of catalysts, and if we don't get a ceasefire deal on Thursday, we might be in war as soon as Friday. If we do get a ceasefire deal, CPI is good, retail sales are good, and University of Michigan is good.